show is about to begin. Enjoy.
Michael O'Grady, I Creativi.
My awesome creative guest is a motion picture agent for U.T.A., and that stands for United Talent Agency, not ultimately totally awesome, even though they are.
It is ultimately totally.
Oh, that's what it stands for? Oh, I was wrong.
Totally, yeah.
So Wikipedia, Google information.
No, you're right twice.
Right twice. Oh, it's United
First time
Right twice.
that you were right twice.
This is the first time I've ever
that
been.
You've been right twice.
That I can. Right.
Just
Correct.
succinctly like that.
Yeah, it's United Talent Agency and Ultimate Totally Awesome.
Ah, of course.
Otherwise known as AKA. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Mr. Matt Coatsworth.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. It's a good night. I'm doing very well.
Talking to your microphone, by the way.
I'm talking into the
Yeah,
microphone.
you can move it. You can adjust it however you want to get comfortable. Yeah.
It's a
Just
podcast interview about getting. This table is not going to make it through this podcast.
Quit sliding into it then.
Don't give me a chair with wheels. Like give me like normal a Navy chair, like a 1950s
A stationary.
sort of a
Don't move
stationary,
and
like
anything.
the basic like.
Again, you're still
like-
not talking into your microphone.
Like what you get.
Nobody's
at
gonna
IKEA
hear you.
and don't have to build.
Bring it in.
Give me that.
Get your microphone in right here, and you swing it to you, so you don't have to lean in.
Some swinging.
Hold it.
in here.
It's a boom mic. You're a musician too.
Don't make me swing too
There
much.
you go. Now we can
Oh,
hear
that's
you.
a whole thing.
There
isn't
you
it?
go.
Wow. That's annoying
I told you.
to
This is
listen
how
to
you
my
gotta
own
do
voice
it.
like that. Wow.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but you can hear me. I can hear you. We're good to go. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Matt Coatsworth, again, I'll say real quick, he is a motion picture agent at United Talent Agency here in Los Angeles, California. Him and I have actually known each other for, I want to say, about 7 years.
I was going to say, more importantly, best friends of Michael O'Grady.
Yeah.
We has it been
7 years.
Because it was maybe even
2013.
I was thinking, was it longer? Yeah, 13. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's been 7 years.
That puts us at about met on Craigslist.
We met on Craigslist. So, well,
Not by
it
choice.
It was through U.T.A.
No, it was through U.T.A.
Yeah. So him and I originally met because we were in a band together. He plays drums and plays guitar and piano, and he's a singer-songwriter as well. I keep telling him you need to release a bunch of your stuff because it's actually really good, and you should totally do that.
See, I just do it for me. It's sort of a hobby, and it's honestly, it's gotten me through COVID in a way
What
that
a
I
fucking
can't
artist.
even extract. I can't,
What an
like,
artist.
The gratitude for that.
He's like, I just do it for me. I don't do it for anybody else. You know, it's more of that kind.
Well,
You're
who
like,
else do you do it for?
for the attention.
I don't like that.
Most people are attention whores, but you're not really like that.
I don't like
guess.
that.
No,
I don't like
you're-
the attention thing.
No, no.
I do. Yeah, I enjoy a spotlight when I have something interesting
Sure.
going on.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, yeah.
But attention for the sake of attention, I think, is a little pretentious.
Unlike most of the artists out here in Los Angeles,
Goodness,
whether they're an actor, I always heard the thing that made me laugh my ass off was because everybody gets like a bad rap for that. Like as far as like being like, oh,
there's a lot of bad rap. out
right,
there.
like yeah. Well, there is a lot of bad
Yeah.
rap, yeah. But as far as like they'd be like, oh, look at me, look at the attention whore, this, that, and the other thing, and da 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 da. But I remember a long time ago, they asked George Carlin, how did you get into this? How did you get into comedy? How did you get into being on stage and in front of people and everything? And he goes, it simply comes back from him being a kid and getting the attention from the nuns.
From his parent. Oh,
No, from
it's
the
a
nuns,
church thing.
Because of the church
yeah.
thing. And he just wanted that gratification of, oh, any cute, look at him. He wanted that, oh, look at me, look what I can do. And he goes, if anybody tries to tell you that they didn't do it for that reason, they're full of shit, basically. Like, you want the attention, you want the admiration, you want it. You know what I mean? That's why you're on stage. And there's a little bit of that weird... I know you and I work with...
I guess as a drummer, you pick your moments because you can't have it all be about you all the time. Otherwise,
You're in the back.
Like, well, not that you're in the back. I mean, you are supporting everybody. And if you fuck one thing up, can I swear on
Yeah,
this
you
podcast?
can swear.
Is
Yeah.
that encouraged or like...
I would say, you know what I try to do? I try to keep it moderate because...
Let's do... Okay, we had take one. We'll do take two.
We'll do take two.
And
of
take
this.
two is like... You kind of like you mess up the experience for everybody in the audience if you
Right.
try to take up too much real estate as a drummer. I think you really have to you learn when to shine and you get your couple of moments. And I think
Right.
that kind of gets ingrained after years and years of touring with this pop band in Canada that I was in.
What was that band?
Well, that band was called Isle of Thieves.
Isle of Thieves.
Did the whole thing, lived in a van, made craft dinner on people's front lawns. And
Dude, that was before all. Do you ever notice how many bands are out there right now that are called something thieves? Like Underground Thieves, the Nothing Thieves, Nothing But Thieves. Like, I'm like, there's so many thieves bands.
I mean, not a ton of bands out there right now, are there?
No, not really. No, it's a little weird. Actually, no, there are. It's weird. There's a lot of bands that I always end up finding out about that I'm like, how does nobody know about this or nobody's talking about it? It's really weird. Like I've learned it from, there's a night, well, it's not happening now, but I've played at Sayers Club out here in Los Angeles, and Sayers is like a night where they showcase like singers and songwriters, and there's like a backing band, and I've filled in for the 2 guitar players, Nick Mayberry and Rod Castro. And a lot of the times when they've like assigned songs, all of a sudden they'll go, hey, we're going to be doing, this song by the blah, blah, blahs. And I go, I've never heard it. And then I pull it up on YouTube, and it's got like 1 million to 10 million views. And it's a banger of a song. And I'm like, why haven't I heard this before? It's really good. There's a lot of really good.
Selective hearing, I think, is your
Is that my
sort of downfall? Yeah. I think it's been there. Is
that what it is?
You get into the Uber and it's playing on the radio, but you're focused on the Insta Facebook.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
My first LA night out experience. Do you remember Brandon Gurrell? It was like
Yes,
a
I
mutual
do.
friend of ours. Yeah. So
yeah.
Michael and I had a friend. We still have a friend. I mean, I was probably more, but this guy, great dude, good friend. He says, I got this. Like, we're going to take you guys, we're going to go to this club. We're like in Hollywood, like bar hopping, being idiots. And we walk into this Green Papaya, which is, I don't know, some like Jamaican chicken restaurant on Hollywood. And he walks us into like the back of we walk into the back of the Green Papaya next to all these people that are like ordering fucking shrimp tacos or whatever. I don't know, like ahi or whatever. And there's this like giant bouncer at the back of the Green Papaya, and we're like, what the fuck is going? And it's like the secret entrance into Sayers Club.
Yeah.
And like Brandon randomly like knows the bouncer, knows the thing. How's that? I'm like, how does this kid like know that? It turns out his dad had worked on a movie with Jamie Foxx, and it was Jamie Foxx's birthday. So literally my first experience with Sayers, it was Jamie Foxx's birthday, and Jay and the Raynettes from that film Ray. You may have heard of it. It's called Ray. And is
that the movie where he plays a stingray?
Well, it's the movie where Ray plays Jamie Foxx, where
Right.
Ray really goes out of his way to sort of
emulate
to
Jamie
emulate
Foxx
Jamie
and
Foxx
everything.
playing
Right,
piano
right.
and not able to
And
see.
it's based off the true story of Ray Romano from It's spawned from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Correct, yeah.
Before he left his family and kids, then he became a famous blind piano player. Am I thinking of the right?
Yeah, you've got the timeline right.
I got it right?
Yeah,
That's
you got
it?
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So anyway, so
it's a very deep, complex.
yeah, there's a
story.
lot of layers. It's
and-
like an onion in lasagna.
And I thought this was a joke. I thought it was going to be some lame, like, dude. And like within 30 seconds, there's like Jamie Foxx who can sing.
Yeah.
That guy's got a set of pipes, but he brings out, I want to say it was his assistant's birthday, and his assistant happened to be just an unbelievable singer. And they went back they sang for 2 hours, and this was like the tightest band I think I've seen play in, like, other than shows I knew I was going to.
Right.
Like a random experience LA night, like walking into a fucking Green Papaya and getting brought into like Jamie Foxx's assistant's birthday, and like that, it was mind blowing. So that whole Sayers experience is, I guess it's kind of hit or miss. Like they're but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of misses. Like it seems like there are some gems in this.
I mean, you know what's weird about that, especially being as like a musician, and you know this, is that sometimes even if there's an off night, it's not even as
papayas aren't green. That's the weirdest part of the whole.
You know what's weird? I never even remember when I started going to Sayers, it was past that point when they got rid of that whole thing.
Like when the papaya turns orange.
No, like when they got rid of the papaya thing. And they just had you just walked in.
Oh, just the yeah.
They got rid of all the
bar
mystique
thing
because
was
there's
fine.
another place out here. The only other one that I've experienced, I think, is Davy Wayne's. Davy Wayne's.
You going through the fridge?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's like roller skaters on the roof and stuff. And
Yeah,
like,
no. That's not Davy Wayne's. You're thinking of the one with the bed in the attic?
No. The one with the bed that you walk through
where the girl goes, "Hello, boys," and then she pulls the lever.
That's like like
that's
a
off
burlesque thing. It's not. That's not Davy Wayne's. That's
is that No Vacancy?
That's No Vacancy.
Yeah, that's on
No
Hollywood
Vacancy.
Boulevard.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one time. Wasn't it you, me, and our friend Ben, and maybe Brandon, but it was some other people and somebody you were probably dating at the time. There was a huge line outside of No Vacancy, which there always is, and they're like, they're like, you got to be like cool to get in. It's like one of those things out of a movie where it's just like, hey, come on, can we get in? And it's like, nah, man, there's too many dudes in there already. But like there was one time I remember you and I went up there, and I think you were the ringleader in this, where you were like, fuck it, let's just go to the front of the line, go and talk to the bouncer. And you were like, hey, it's just me, my girlfriend, and my 2 buddies. Can we go in? And they were like, okay. And we bypassed everybody.
So this has happened a couple times. There's another, I remember, like, and that
And I was
happened
like,
a whole bunch of times. We're like, well, half of it just has to do with the amount of confidence that you walk in with, and like,
Right.
it's really like when you're talking straight with a bartender, with a bouncer, and I mean, there's also like, I learned this. I guess this was pre my involvement with the company, but I've figured out this system at film festivals, like to like get into events and stuff, and it's not unsimilar to what we're describing. I don't know how much detail I can go into without getting in trouble, so I don't want to say too much more. But it really just involves walking to the front with absolute confidence and saying, I have to get in there because I have a reason, and it's not going to be long, and it just works.
That's what I told her. It's not going to be long.
I took, so I found out on a Friday, I don't know, it was maybe 5 years ago, that the Foo Fighters were playing at the Forum, and they were going to like release tickets on this date. So I texted you, everybody. I was like, I'm at work. I don't know if I'm like, our Wi-Fi sucks. And no, it doesn't suck. It's just like, it gets caught up a lot. And like I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get, so I literally hit up everybody. I was like, just buy tickets. I will pay you back, but we have to get to the show.
Right.
And the only tickets we could get were like 3, like way up.
You know who got them?
No, you did. No,
I got
that's
him.
the whole point. You got him. Yeah, you got him. No. Michael O'Grady like got the tickets.
I somehow got 3 tickets.
You got 3 tickets.
That was the best I could do, because you had to put in like numbers, and because they were just like, they're released, and I would go like 4 tickets, and they're like, no, and I was like 3 tickets, and yeah.
No, it's hard to know numbers when you don't know how to read, or at least that's my personal experience.
It's tough.
It's really tough.
Knowledge is a tricky thing.
Funny shapes, and so we get to the Forum, and we were there early. I'm like,
we had the nosebleed tickets.
I'm like on time at best. Like I don't do the show if you're 20 minutes early or 10 minutes late or whatever thing. Like I think no, you show up on time. You have a meeting at 4, you show up at 4, and that's the way it works. And
my favorite thing about this is that I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know you on a personal level as a friend and a bandmate, and it's so funny to hear you talk as a professional like agent and all that, because that is not how you are in real life. When it doesn't come to work, you are fucking late, and you are like nowhere to be found, and it's a gamble. I'm like, I don't know, but it's so funny to hear that you're like, it's cool. It's like, I think maybe that's how you balance yourself out.
I think that also might be part of it. It's like I spend so much time pushing structure for so many people, and
right.
I mean, I have this this job and this incredible life that I get to be part of. That revolves around being on time and on having a good attitude and around connecting creative people together to make these things. And the overall point that I was getting to is like we get to the Forum.
Yeah, sorry, go back to the Forum.
And we're there, and we
got there early.
We get to like way early, which is uncharacteristic.
We went to Popeyes.
I would say uncharacteristically early for me.
Yeah,
we got there. I'm sure I can't.
I think we were expecting a shit show that day. That's why
we were.
You know what I mean?
And in many ways it was. But we had so we get up to the top. We sit in these seats. And we're like,
ones in the building.
We are not sitting in these friggin' like nosebleed seats. We can do better than this. So I walk the 3 of us to this like guest services lady, and I just walk up to her with absolute confidence, and I say, there's a huge problem. We're all the way up here. We're supposed to be down on the floor. And she said, did they send you in oh, hold on. We're going to take care of the, and without even looking at our tickets, like she walks us out of the Forum, out the main entrance, and then walks us like through the security part where like people weren't even going in there. And then she's like, do you guys need anything? Are you okay? I'm so sorry about this. I'm like, no, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll get through this. Like, don't worry about it. Puts the wristbands on our things, sends us off on the floor, and all of a sudden we're
at the front of the stage.
We watched 3.5 hours of the Foo Fighters. Played with everybody. They played with Lemmy. They played with God Rest His Soul. And they played with Paul Stanley.
Jane's Addiction. David Lee Roth. Slash. Tenacious D.
Jack Black playing Immigrant Song.
That was
with
dope.
the balloons. Like,
that was so cool.
That? Yeah.
You forgot one little part of that story. I remember vividly her saying something along the lines of, well, you guys don't have wristbands on. And you were like, yeah, we need those.
That's the problem.
This
is what I'm saying.
You were like,
this is what I'm saying. Do you understand our predicament? Like,
and she was
got no wristbands,
like,
put us all the way up there.
She was like, oh, we fucked up. It's
we
our bad. She was like, I am so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
She's like, let me take care of you.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. if we would have got anybody else, that probably would not have worked. This lady was old. She was happy to be alive. She was happy to be at work.
She was just a genuine
If it would have been a
sweetheart,
dude, he'd have been like, let me see your tickets. But this lady was like, oh my God. Well,
I mean, I don't know if that's fair to generalize like that. I mean, I feel like there's enough people in her position that just
she
genuinely
was so sweet. No, I'm saying
I think there's a natural inclination of people to want to make other people happy.
Sure, yeah,
and I think when you're in the service industry, which like I spent from age 15 to 25 working in restaurants, like that's a long time. That's a decade of my life. That like you have one bad customer that's unhappy, one person that's it. You don't get tips, like that's it, like you're right. And so you have to swallow all of your insecurities and your pride and your judgment and your like everything, and put a smile on and walk up and say, I apologize for that. What can we do to make it better? And it's always solution oriented, and I think that's how all these situations, and this isn't like, I mean, the Foo Fighters one I can bring up because, we did it together, but that example, I could bring up like, another handful of those that I had in other circumstances, and I think they're, wild. No real point to that.
No. I'm just saying what makes me laugh about it.
I guess it's good to be early. Maybe I should have learned something.
Yeah, like her enthusiasm, her character. Like if it would have been like a regular dude in his 20s or his 30s, he would have been like, let me see your tickets. And he would have probably squashed it and been like, no, you're supposed to be up there. The way this lady was just like, let me get you. Wait, you don't have wristbands? Hold on. We got to get you wristbands. Like, she was so happy to help.
She was happy.
She was so happy.
She was
to
so
help.
into it.
That's what I loved about it. I was like, this lady rocks.
I almost wanted to say like, and the beer tickets. Do you have the
that would have been great. What if that?
Oh no, because I was on an off month. I was sober.
That would have taken it too. That would have like taken it too far.
That's why I remember the entire show, because I was not drinking that month. That was it was a sober January.
Yeah, it was in January. I don't think I drank at all either. Like, I think because just going to like the Forum event, you're like, yeah, how much is it for a beer? Like $18.
$700
for like this much beer. No, that was a lot of fun.
I remember going back there and seeing Fish, which I'm not like a Fish fan. I mean, they're fine. They're perfectly watchable, but I'm not one of those like, I've done 200 Fish shows, man. Like, you ever talk to those people? How do you talk about a Fish concert?
I don't know.
Do you remember the time when they were like, boo, and then the other time when they're like, like, this is a comment that I've heard a genuine Fish fan say. Yeah, it was a very jam-heavy second act. Like, how do you quantify that? That's just such a, like, it just feels like a misnomer of a statement.
I think you just have to have...
I have nothing against it, too. I've had a great time at the show. It's just I think I have a tough time identifying with the culture because so many of the bands I identify with are, like, chorus-driven, and that's what gets stuck in my head. Yeah. And I never got into the jam band scene, even though I like jam bands and I play funk and jazz. Like, it makes no sense at all. I mean no offense by this at all. Like, I've really enjoyed both times I saw Fish. I remember one of them.
Wait, where else did you see Fish?
Vegas at the MGM Grand.
No way.
Last minute trip, drove out. My buddy John had the whole thing figured out.
He
had a friend fall through. Imagine you show up to Vegas and you've booked a room. They had like Disco Biscuits tickets for the Friday night.
Wait,
which is
Disco Biscuit tickets.
Disco Biscuit tickets.
Disco Biscuit tickets. Disco Biscuit tickets. Disco Biscuit tickets. That's a tongue twister. Why are they called Disco Biscuit tickets?
Why aren't they called? Well, no, the band's called Disco Biscuits.
Oh, the Disco.
And they're like an electro jam band or whatever.
You think they did that on purpose because they were like, did you get your Disco Biscuit tickets?
Of course they did.
I got him Bisco Disco ticket. Nabisco tickets. Such a tongue twister.
Nabisco tickets?
No, Nabisco tickets. Oh, that's so fucking funny. All right, so you saw Fish twice. They're all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I never got into jam bands. It was never my thing. Even Pink Floyd takes it a little bit too far for me. But I do like Pink Floyd. But I did go through that age.
You mean you'd prefer like a moderate Pink Floyd? Like you find Pink Floyd to be aggressive?
No. What I'm saying is
Does Pink Floyd anger you?
No, they don't anger me. I think what angers me a little... It doesn't even anger me. I never dove deep into all the psychedelic rock, and it never I went through that adolescence of like I went into Pink Floyd or whatever or anything like evolving like even like a little bit of jam bands, but I never got into Fish or the Grateful Dead or anything like that just because it was never my bag. I mean, granted, like you said, I appreciate all that stuff. I like all the hit songs, but I'm kind of the same way where I'm like, I like the chorus driven stuff. I like the guitar solos and everything. However, that being said, it's like, I like it when bands come out with like a 1, 2, 3, 4 punch with songs. They're just like, bam, hit, song, 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 song. And then they like break it down. They'll do like a ballad. And then they have like a jam. And then they like extend things out.
See, sometimes that can get exhausting. Like I remember seeing Jimmy Eat World in Toronto and at the Docks, which was this epic venue that like I used to go to rave. I caught the very tail end of the rave scene in Toronto. And like I wasn't into rave culture, but I went to two raves and really liked them. And this was when there were like these things called were like were they MCs, and it was like Skibbity and Shabbity and Shy Effects and Stevie Hyper. Seriously, they're all these like big British like DJs, and they would spin vinyl and be like literally rapping like bada 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 bada, and they'd be like they'd be spinning vinyl and rapping and creating crazy laser shows and shit. It was super entertaining.
Right.
But then there's like people licking each other next to me, and I'm just like, I don't like that part. That's probably why we have this whole problem right now with the face masks and all that. Yeah, it's like
too many licks at the
and I can't get into the licking culture. I can't get into it. It's like a little much. But the sitting in a corner with your two friends that are also socially awkward, like that worked for us. And like it was really fun music, and we could you could dance a little, and plus Canada and Toronto is just such a peaceful, happy place to experience concerts. And like that, that's a great city.
You guys are known for all the festivals, the concerts, the big the big following there. It seems like Canada, Toronto probably specifically, is known for all their stuff when it comes to that. Like bands are in, acts are in. You're there all day. You're there all weekend, and you're there to like see. Well, an
Toronto's
event and a
like
show.
Considered a U.S. tour date almost. Like if you have a big band, like it's not, you don't tour Canada. It's like you do a tour and then you have like Toronto and Montreal, and like that's like that. Like we're lucky. So being in Toronto was kind of amazing because every week you had another band that was coming in. So like growing up, I remember seeing, my dad took me to Page and Plant when I was a kid. And,
no way.
And then,
I didn't know that.
And then I went and saw Robert Plant when he came to Toronto with his band. And then when Them Crooked Vultures played, which was John Paul Jones with Josh Homme and Dave Grohl, I was working on a movie in Toronto called Devil, which was I was actually working for M. Night Shyamalan, and the guy that was renting us our office space, I guess was like his brother worked with Live Nation, or I don't know. There was some connection with Live Nation, and one of the producers was like, "Oh, there's some Vulture band playing this Friday. Does anybody want tickets?" Because are you fucking kidding me? I've been trying to get tickets to the show, so I ended up getting like VIP tickets to Them Crooked Vultures, and I'm watching Josh Homme and John Paul Jones with his fucking guitar. And I had this epiphany at that show. I'm like, I have seen every surviving member of Led Zeppelin play live. And Led Zeppelin is like the reason I play drums. Like that's like, they are my ultimate rock band. I think they're just we don't have to get into all that because I think that's pretty standard. Yeah. It's okay if you're a rock musician to like Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. I mean,
that's still okay, right? I don't know. I
was listening to Led Zeppelin before you got here. You walked in today.
It made me feel really comfortable. It's just kind of because I can just get into those Bonham grooves and not think about anything else.
I mean, he's definitely probably arguably. Yeah, Led Zeppelin is the greatest rock band of all time, greatest drummer of all time, and everybody rips off of him. And everybody, like, I was working in a studio one time, and I remember the drummer was like, "Hey, it's like, can you make my drums like, I want that Bonham sound." You know what the producer said, or the engineer said? He goes, "Well, you better fucking hit him like Bonham then. That's how you get it." You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where...
How do you think that guy felt going into the next take? Like, do you feel like I'm going to own this and hit harder? Or is he like, "Oh, he's right, I'm never going to be"?
I don't know. It's one of those weird things where, yeah, you better own it and you better know how to like get into it, because that's when it comes to recording. I mean, nowadays everything's like so technological and blah, blah, blah and whatever. But, there's that microphone again. It's buzzing. If you got to move it, grab it here and swing it. No. Don't grab it there.
I didn't
grab it right here.
I only touched it.
Yeah, grab it right here. See how you can just do that easily?
Well, I wouldn't say easily.
No, twist it. Swing it. Just swing it.
Oh, we're good.
You're not gonna bother. You're like treating it like the electric fence. Like Anyway, no. So with that kind of stuff, and I learned the same thing as a guitar player, because he was just like, it was a comforting but scary feeling at the same time, where it's like the reason why John Bonham and Jimmy Page, the reason why Led Zeppelin records sound like that, it's because it's them. You can put them on any kind of gear, any kind of console.
And it's going to sound like them.
It's going to sound like them, and it has a certain... I mean, mixing and editing is one thing, but... And when people say that, like, if they, they like... Let's say, like, guitar players get into the whole, like, oh, I like your tone, man. Like, I really like, you captured that tone. And I go, well, that's just how I play. You know what I mean? And it's literally all in the fingers. There was a great little excerpt I saw from Linda Perry and, from, what was she? Four Non Blondes, whatever that was. And she has a story about they're in the studio and they're working with a band and they're trying to get like the sound going for like the guitars or whatever like that. And they're just not getting it. It's not cutting the mustard and everything. But then at some point they go, all right, take a break. Everybody go to lunch. And then Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick walks in. And he's like, hey, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, no, they were just fucking trying to work on this shit and everything. And he goes, oh, you mind if I'm just walk around? He goes in the main room with all the guitars and the amps and everything. And he sits down and he's like, can I try this? And they're like, yeah, sure. And he picks it up and he starts going, bah, 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 and he starts playing. And she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. She runs into the room and she's just like, what did you do? What did you change? That sounds fucking amazing. What did you do? And he goes, I didn't change anything. And then she was like, oh, it's the guy.
So the conversation of tone, that's what you harness as a guitar player, right? Like that's what you spend your whole life creating. And I have this conversation with my clients, with producers, with executives constantly, that like a director for films is known for their tone, and that's it. And as a director, you're defined by your ability to harness and manipulate tone. And you're doing it the same way. It's actually a really interesting example of like, a guitar player versus a director. Like, how come there's 20 horror movies out there that suck that, you get 20 minutes in and you're like, I just can't. I have to change the channel. And then you watch Hereditary and you're like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Like, why? It's because that individual, like Ari Aster, who's the director and the filmmaker, understands exactly what he's trying to do with tone. And I think it's just spending a lifetime harnessing and focusing on exactly the emotional state you want your audience to feel. I mean, that I feel like it touches guitar. It's really, it's an interesting parallel because like you have guitar players that try to emulate what other people are doing. Right. And that's like, sure, I've seen cover bands that have blown my mind, but I would never, like, I can't talk about it. I can't be like, remember that cover band that we saw that you're like, that was incredible. That like, I know I've seen them and I know I've seen it, versus like, go and watch Galactic at Tipitina's in New Orleans. Like, once this is all over, like,
we can go out to shows.
Well, thankfully, I was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras this year, and I actually I saw Galactic at Tipitina's on my birthday on February 24th, and like literally the next day, February 25th, which was a Monday, there were 200 cases in Italy. And my buddy who I was staying with in New Orleans, I had a client down there that was shooting a movie that I'd gotten him. I had to go down to visit him to see his sets while they were still up. He's a designer and he makes all these crazy trippy. There's a movie called I'm the Pretty Thing That Lives in a House. Another one called Gretel and Hansel. This guy...
they flipped the name?
Osgood. Well, it's a female-driven Hansel and Gretel. It's fantastic. It's on Amazon. The film's absolutely brilliant. There's this guy, Osgood Perkins, is the director, but my guy, Jeremy, who's the production designer, created this insane world, and it's this cool female-driven story. Wow. So I hooked him up with this vampire movie that it's a film at Netflix, and it's a very weird. You ever remember that movie Collateral with Tom Cruise? We're like, yeah. So imagine that, but like now, the guy
that movie's got a tone.
That movie has a tone. That's Michael Mann, who understands exactly what he's doing. And that film's interesting because it was the crossroads of film and digital. Really? Where like so the original is Dion Beebe and there are two cinematographers that were involved. And what happened was they had pushed digital cameras to the limit. And it was at a time when digital cameras couldn't operate in low light the way that they can now because the sensors weren't as developed. So they actually and the whole point was we're going to make this whole movie in Los Angeles shot as if you were a human experiencing it, like, very first person, very visceral, very like in your face. But then they get to the club scene and they couldn't capture the club with digital. So they had to switch over to film. So that whole club scene is all shot in 35, and like the rest of the movie is all shot digital. Yeah, it was kind of I don't know if it was like a gimmicky thing, like we have to do this movie digital.
They did shoot it at night.
Yeah, the entire movie shot at night. Yeah,
They did. It's not like, but wait.
No, it's not. It's not. That's not a cinema trick. That's a
Right.
That's a lot. I mean, obviously they took the club over and its background.
So
and
this was at the
it's set
time
up
when
that
digital cameras finally caught up to
hardly
night.
existed. I would say they hadn't even caught up yet. No, this is when digital cameras weren't good enough to be able to shoot in low light at that kind of like a
So
high
how did they do that
speed.
with Collateral? That's what I'm confused on
They
now.
shot film.
Oh, the whole thing is filmed.
No. They shot digital when they were outside, but when they were inside the club,
Right,
you have
oh.
no ambient light. You have no, like, there's nothing coming in. So
Nothing
the only
to-
lights that exist in the club are, like, glow sticks and fucking the bar lights and all that. Because it's a
Right.
club. It's low
Yeah.
lighting. And you need to be able to see facial expressions, and you're dealing with
Sure.
a lot of people of color who have it's a little bit harder to light. It's more challenging to light, and it's just a different set
Yeah.
of circumstances because that's a photography thing. Like that is just the
And
way,
so they
the way that
hired like
people's-
these guys because they knew they could capture the vibe and the tone.
No, the DP just had to switch formats. He just got he literally got to a point where he had pushed digital cameras to the maximum of what they could capture, and
Right.
you couldn't see enough. So they had to be like, all right, fine, we'll go back to film, like this medium that had been around forever and worked perfectly, but digital cameras weren't there yet. So Collateral is an interesting example of a movie that, like, they tried to push the digital agenda and couldn't get it right. So had to go back to film for
the inside club scene.
just for that one. I think it's just that one scene.
But the outside stuff when they're in the cars
Everything else
and they're
is just
going
like,
around.
It's like some early Sony camera, I want to say. I'm blanking on exactly which
Wow.
body it was. I wasn't planning on
Yeah.
going so detailed into this, but that's life.
No.
So
That's
it's,
cool. That's
yeah.
I mean, because you know what? Here's the thing. Like a good example, like Collateral for me is, I've probably seen that movie. I don't even know where Collateral is held on the regards of the totem poles of like great classic movies. But for me, I know I've seen it at least probably now 3 or 4 times in my life, and it's the tone of the color of it. When I think of it, it's obviously it's nighttime. It's very like there's like this green steel, whatever kind of vibe color to it, this overall hue to it that makes me feel like, yeah, this is Los Angeles. It's nighttime. It feels a little like that. What's that other movie too? Is it
Nightcrawler?
No, not Nightcrawler. Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay, but maybe like what's the big one that got the one with what's his face? Denzel Washington and
Training Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that Training Day vibe. But let me ask you this question. Do you know, like, because this is what bothered me about
I
Collateral.
think Training Day had a little bit more of an aggressive aesthetic, though. There's a little more
Right.
like
It's
that
a little
was
bit more like-
that was more of a
well-
specific like there's like a Man on Fire-y kind of thing. that was
Yeah,
going on
it's a
with
little
that
bit more
thing.
da-da-da-da, but
Yeah.
Collateral kind of has this slow build to it where you're just like,
Again, that's tone. That's
Right.
that's Michael Mann, and
that's
put,
that pacing of the dialogue and the way
you
it
put
kind of
that script in the hands of 10 other directors that are like right out of film school or that have like made their mark in commercials but haven't quite figured out how to like manipulate the human emotional experience in film.
Right.
It would be a totally different movie. And
Right.
it's the same way with like what you're describing with with these guys going into the studio, I don't know, Hippie Poppy or whatever his name was, that picked up the guitar and just nailed it on the first. They're like, how did you do that? Like I've seen. I've been it's funny too when I'm on the other side of it, because like I've seen it where like I've watched somebody sit on my drum kit and just demolish anything I could ever do, and I'm just like, I don't want to play anymore.
Right.
Like you
That's them.
But then I've been on the other side of it where like we have a cabin in Northern Ontario and we're on a river and we have all these river friends.
Microphone.
And one of them's like, hey, I got a drum kit. I'm like I've been playing drums for like years now, and like it's all, and he's like bigging himself up at this party of like, oh, how he's like this amazing drummer and all this.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I've ever said I'm an amazing drummer ever. I'm like, I can hold a beat down and I can groove and I know that I can stay in the pocket, and like
That's all you
need.
need.
But that's really it. It's no, drumming's not rocket science. It just takes a year of doing like sticking patterns on a pillow and you can figure it out. But this guy was being like one of those people, that just needed the attention, needed the world to know that he was a good drummer, and like wasn't like really even conversing with people. It was just more like, hey, what are you up to? Yeah, I got a drum kit, man. I've been drumming for like, all this time. I was like,
He's
all
talking
right.
shit.
Okay.
He's talking mad.
So-
He's talking mad game.
So he's got this this like drum kit or whatever set up at his place. I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, can I play your drums? He's like, yeah, man. They're like over here. Let me show you some stuff. And he gets in, and I got him on the kit first, and he's showing me these like beats and all that. And the guy's obviously put some time and effort into
Right.
it. And I got up and literally played like a 2/4 straight beat with like very little in the middle. But I started just nailing like half jazz fills in the middle, like just like
Yeah.
sticking pattern. Because he didn't. I know this guy doesn't do his sticking exercises, and that's like as a drummer, if you're not sitting at home like once or twice a week doing your paradiddles, your triples, your radamikill.
Right.
I have drumsticks and a practice pad in my office. Like I do that shit when I'm on conference calls.
Right.
Like I'm still engaged on the call. But there are moments where I don't have to, be fully present, and I can back off for a second. And also, I've gotten to a point where like I can be doing sticking patterns while having a thought process, and it's actually a really interesting like intellectual exercise because
You're multitasking.
Yeah, kind of. It also I've found like it helps me come up with new ideas because I sort of like it's like a etch-a-sketch kind of thing. Like if I'm trying to force an idea out and it's not happening. And then I get my drumsticks out and I do a couple of sticking patterns while I'm thinking about the same thing on the same call or something like that. All of a sudden, a new idea will come up because it's like speaking two languages. Like you start thinking about something, and I speak French and English,
Right?
And sometimes I will think about a problem in French and try to solve it
Really?
in French and try to like look words up in French. I don't do it often, but I have.
But just something to key in that extra side.
There was a meeting I took at the.
Sorry, real quick. Am I hearing like a noise?
Is it me, like, moving around?
You
gave me a rolly chair. This is a problem.
Is it squeaking? Is that what I'm hearing? It might be because you're leaned up against that. It might have been rubbing up against the cabinet. Sorry.
Because I'm touching Morgan?
Maybe. Yeah.
Stop touching Morgan.
I'm not hearing it anymore. It might have been that. The chair might have just been going like... Sorry, I can hear it, and it's like distracting me because I want to hear what you're saying. Anyway, you're solving a problem in French. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I took a really interesting meeting with a producer. There's this film festival in the south of France called Cannes, and that's like a big deal in our world.
Yeah.
And it sort of sets the tone for the year of what the international film community is going to look like what films get bought, what are the interesting directors, like who should we be looking out for. And I had the absolute, like I was very lucky to get to go to the festival last year. I ended up signing a very exciting new client who's Terrence Malick's debut. Terrence Malick directed like Tree of Life and Thin Red Line and all these very important films for like modern Americana film culture. And his cinematographers tend to like go all the way. I mean, he like Chivo is someone that shot a few movies for him, and Chivo won 3 Oscars in a row. He shot Gravity, shot Birdman. So this guy is like, and he shot The Revenant. So he has like those.
Wow.
He's the only DP that's won 3 Oscars in a row, and he started out shooting films for Terrence Malick. And
Terrence Malick.
Terrence Malick, yeah, he's from Austin. He's a
why do I know that
American
name?
Tree of Life, Thin Red Line, Knight of Cups, really, really prolific.
Maybe because you
US
just said it
filmmaker,
like 2 minutes ago, and I'm like,
no, he's like it's.
I'm trying to keep track of all the names and everything. I'm trying to go like, because that's the thing. Like, yeah, sorry, go ahead. I was like, wait, but also I probably have heard you talk about him before.
Well, that's the other thing, and like I had, and he's known for making these very long films that are very meditative and sort of about like existentialism and the human condition, and and it's exhausting to get through one of his movies, but they're fucking brilliant.
They're like art pieces.
He's an absolute brilliant, like just a storyteller. And I waited 3.5 hours in line to watch a 3-hour Terrence Malick movie. So I waited more minutes per like me waiting than I did to sit. And 3 hours is like.
Wait, what was the movie you saw there?
It's called The Hidden Life.
The Hidden Life.
And
this was last year.
This is actually literally a year ago now.
No shit.
Yeah, because we're May 20th right now.
Today is May 27th.
And Cannes takes place at the end of May. So I was in France last year, like dealing with this. And what's incredible is that like you have all of these views from all around the world of people that come in to watch. So you're not just going to like a festival down the street and talking to a bunch of local people about some art or some story that someone's trying to tell internationally. This is like you're getting everybody from around the planet, and every country sort of has a presence. And then you've got you get producers from the States and producers from Morocco, France, Germany, Algeria. Like it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's like a phenomenal. Anyway, so I was having this lunch meeting with a French producer, and he gave me the opposite thing where he was like, sometimes when I'm stuck on a problem, I think about it in Spanish, and because I have very limited Spanish, and I'll try to solve the problem in my head in Spanish, and when I can't solve it, I'll start trying to like translate the words that I can't figure out. And it starts helping my Spanish, and then that like distracts me enough that I'll start thinking about the problem differently.
Right.
And I can go back to it and be like, okay, now that I know these 3 other words and how to define the problem that I'm trying to solve in another language, I now have a different viewpoint on
Right.
how to enter
Yeah,
this
yeah.
problem, and it sort of like splits your brain up a little bit. It's a really interesting conversation because I'd never thought to
Do that.
to talk to somebody about it.
Right.
Because I thought for me, it's just like if I can't figure something out right now, le verre c'est vide, mais je suis soif. That's like my glass is empty, but I'm thirsty. How do I solve this? I can, je peux le sauver en français. Je marche au frigo, je peux emprunter un petit peu. That for me makes sense.
Right.
But I would never think to say that to someone, and then to have this producer tell me like, because we just talk about, what do you do when you're stuck on this, or like, because the guy's got 2 films he's trying to finance, and we're talking about like, I mean, the whole model of independent filmmaking is changing.
Yeah.
In a crazy way, like sort of pre like 2007, 2008, like you would talk to a foreign sales company that basically sells movies in different territories, and you would get estimates for how much they think they could sell that movie for based on the actors and the director.
Right.
And then you would go and try to attach those actors to your movie so that you could pre-sell it in those territories based on that. And that still happens to an extent, but not as much because the streamers have changed the model, and honestly, like long form television has changed the model a lot. And we're talking just about sort of the shift in the independent film space, which is it's becoming more and more of a gamble to make an independent movie. Like there's less and less of a guarantee that you're going to be able to, sell the film for a profit.
Right.
And that's just the reality of the situation right now. It's by no means dire.
Is that because of technology and streaming?
Yeah, it's definitely part to do with the amount of competition that's out there in terms of streaming, and in terms of, because streamers, they're international. Like they sell in all the, I mean, Netflix is the world minus China. Like it's every territory. So and Netflix, again, like when Netflix first came onto the scene, and like, what was it, like 2012? I guess 2014, 15, it was Beast of No Nation, the Cary Fukunaga movie. That was sort of like their first big like original movie, and that was an acquisition. So like they bought that film. So when you lost the Weinstein Company for damn good reasons, and but they were a huge buying force.
Right.
So for a while it was like you had it was like Sony Picture Classics. This is like pre-Neon. Neon is one of these like cool. Neon and A24 really have come out and sort of like covered that area of like film buyers, in terms of domestic sales companies that will distribute films in the States that are super relevant, make really smart choices.
The ones you see in theaters.
The ones you see in theaters, yeah. Exactly.
Right, okay.
But now the theatrical model has shifted a little bit, and like to make money with an independent movie in theaters has become so much more challenging. So a lot of the focus has gone into long form, but
Are you this is also, to make a note of this is more like just in general before all the Corona stuff as well. Correct.
Yeah. Once Corona's done, we can go back to griping about how the film industry has changed. Like right now, the big gripe is that there's a virus that's preventing us from, from shooting anything.
Let me ask you this: I feel like almost, I mean, because of all those like streaming services and everything, and the way the business is now, and especially you're like changing your approach and the way people will change their approach. Of what they're buying and what's selling and da-da-da-da-da-da. And you said like it's harder for them to sell an independent movie and for people to selling it to, what I don't get is who are they selling it to so that we see it like on Netflix, or just in general for it to be in the theaters?
So they would be producers, and,
right?
And the producers traditionally would be selling their films to distributors,
right?
And the
like
distributor,
Netflix, Amazon, whatever.
No,
or,
so Netflix is a streamer. A distributor is like Paramount, or Lionsgate, or Disney,
Fox,
like,
Disney,
Fox,
whatever.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Like for example, actually, the Hidden Life, which is the movie that Jorg is the DP that I
was talking
signed, and again, like I would not have signed this guy had I not have been a fan of Terrence Malick, waited 3.5 hours to see the film in the festival, like waited almost at the front, got like the perfect seat, and was just blown away by this guy's visuals. Like it was just one of the most beautiful, poetic, insanely accessible but tough and grounded, and it's foreign language film. I mean the film's in it's a true story about an Austrian who's a conscientious objector during World War II. And the whole story, I mean, Terrence Malick is known for taking a lot of creative liberties and getting very, like, again, I'll use the term like meditative, and this was for him a very grounded film, and the film was about, it's a true story, and it's all told from these letters that were actually found that were sent from this guy to his wife and back. And basically what the Nazis wanted him to do was swear allegiance to Hitler. And he said, no, I won't do it. I don't believe in what this guy's doing. And I just want to live on my farm and grow onions and do my thing and live in the Swiss Alps. And the Nazis are like, dude, just sign the paper. Like, we'll let you go. Like, just sign the paper. And he's like, no, but the paper says I believe in what Hitler believes in, and I don't believe in that. So this guy, like, and you start really questioning it as an audience member, because he's got kids and a family and a wife, and he's got to provide for them. And
I have to see this movie.
Like, why is it okay for him to make such a selfish decision to accept? And I won't say what happens, but it's what you think, that organization would do to people. And
spoiler alert: World War II ends at some point, and Hitler does not make it to the final cut. No, that's so cool. So it's like a very big character piece driven type of thing. It's about him.
And then, like,
you get involved with his life.
The whole...
I love movies like that. I think those are badass.
The whole thought... Yeah, I mean, it's a tough movie to get through. It's 3 hours, and that's like a short film for this
That's like
filmmaker.
what everybody was saying about The Irishman.
But, like, I mean, I could have taken... Personally, I could have taken another 2 hours of The Irishman. I thought that was the most...
it?
I loved it. I loved every second of that movie. I understand that there's different opinions about it, but I just think, when else are you going to get those actors together with that, with I mean, come on, with Scorsese,
Here's the thing. You know what bothered me about my take on it? Is this...
You got bothered by your own take?
Yeah. Because everybody, all I heard was on Facebook and on Instagram or people just telling me in general, but they're like, fuck, it's too long. We could have done without it. It was this, it was that. And they just had nothing but shitty reviews on it. So that's all I kept hearing. So I had this biased opinion going in, watching the movie, going like, come on, it can't be that bad. And I watched it, and it was hard for me to have like a clear judgment because I heard of all this negative shit. And I ended up really, really liking it. And what bothers me about my opinion, is how would I have felt had I not heard everybody shit all over it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like when somebody goes, it's the greatest movie ever. And you go, it wasn't that great. And when they go, this thing fucking sucked, they're like, actually, it was good. It's like, do I just want to disagree with them? I did like it. I agree with the fact that here's what I think maybe people aren't acknowledging or won't have the gumption to actually say this or realize it themselves, but this is what I think it is. I think it's a great movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was fine. No shit, it's not Goodfellas or Casino. That's what I think people need to understand. They're thinking it's going to blow one of those two movies out of the water, or it needs to hold up on the same pedestal. But those movies have been out for what now, 30 years now? So it's not that movie. It's a totally different thing.
It's the conversation of a comparative analysis versus an objective analysis. And like, those are two different ways to approach how you create an opinion on anything. And if you're going to compare that movie to other movies, you're going to have a different opinion than if you just treat it as its own film and try to analyze its own merits. And I don't want to compare the Irishman
No, I know,
to
but
other
that's what I
movies.
think everybody does. That's what I think their opinions get based off.
I mean, what other
do you
movie
see what I'm saying?
has used facial manipulation like that? I mean, there isn't. There not.
You
no,
care about you know
maybe
you can,
like,
but
maybe
I don't think
you could
anybody
make like Benjamin Button maybe, but
sure,
that's totally different.
But I don't
like
think
that.
people are looking at it maybe the same way. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is that you got to remember your audience shouldn't be musicians. As a musician, your audience, I don't know.
That's an interesting.
Do you
point.
see what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody's sitting there gonna go, oh my God, but they did this with the cinematography. Did you get what they did there? We know all the ins and outs. You know all the ins and outs, and that's what makes you go, oh, I love it. But not everybody is. The only thing that I thought was weird is that he's trying to kick that guy.
So that's the one scene when Robert De Niro goes in for the kick. There was like a little, like, if you've got the facial recognition software, like, put a stunt guy in there and like put the face on the stunt. I will give you that.
That's the only thing that took.
That
I was like,
that was a
He looked a little old doing that part. He looked a little, but I did think it was a badass done
Yeah,
movie.
it was fantastic.
It was a great
fantastic.
movie.
It was fantastic.
I think they knocked it out of the park, and a lot of. Here's the other thing too. It's like, yeah,
It's the only movie I watched twice on Netflix.
Have you seen it twice now?
Yeah.
I need to watch it again.
Well, I have a projector at home.
I had a tough time getting through it only because this has turned me into such a softie now. And if you haven't,
you were watching it while you were driving, so that.
Yeah, that's you can't
Hard.
do that.
It's hard. Yeah.
I had the windows down. I was eating an ice cream
Plus, you had
cone.
Zeppelin. You had Zeppelin,
I had Zeppelin
going.
playing in the
Yeah,
background, and I'm
Zeppelin
going
going,
on the iPhone.
On
I'm
your way
watching-
to the Fish
going-
concert.
Yeah,
Like,
on the way to the Fish
yeah.
concert. I'm like, going, this isn't good, fellas.
I'm doing too many
I'm
things.
doing too many things at once. No, it's the only thing that was tough for me, and I'm a huge softie, and ever since my daughter was born, I've turned even to more of a big softie, and that whole story.
I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it?
I've seen your Olivia softiness. I watched it.
That little change that happened. I think that was this biggest. But yeah, watching The Irishman, I was like, oh, that whole story arc with his daughter. I'm just like sitting there crying like a little girl, going like, I can't believe like that time. Like I was, and at the very end, I was like, oh my god. Here's the one other thing this is what throws me off. I don't know. What do you think about this? I thought she did a great job. What's her name again? Anna Paquin? No. What's the actress's name who played his daughter? No, what's the actress's name?
I'm never gonna get it.
She's like
It's just not.
She's in True Blood.
It's not.
She's
It's
the one
Anna Paquin then.
Yeah, Anna Paquin.
It's Anna Paquin.
That's
yeah,
his
okay,
daughter.
all right.
That's the only thing that took me out for a second. I'm like, oh, that's Anna Paquin. She's not saying anything. Couldn't you got somebody else? She did a great job, but I know that's Anna Paquin. Does that make sense? That's what goes through my head. Unless not everybody's like me and they think about that shit. Do you know what I mean? No? Am I losing you on this? Hello?
Jesus. You don't. There's no time to process. It's
No,
just like
no-
react.
Yeah,
now.
react.
Like,
That bothers me a little bit when they get like an
Yeah,
actor
I got you.
of her
Yeah.
caliber to play that role. I'm like,
yeah, but it's also when those casting things go out and the opportunity to work with Martin Scorsese. Like, I mean, how would like?
who would say no?
Who would say no?
Who would say no?
Like,
you know who I thought did great? Two people I thought did great, and I don't think you probably didn't even catch this, but one, Sebastian Maniscalco.
God, I love Sebastian. He's
Fucking knocked that out of the park, crushed it. But also, isn't Jim Norton playing like a Rodney Dangerfield type of guy? Or no, not Rodney Dangerfield.
well, he's in it.
Bob Hope. Who's the comedy roaster?
Yeah,
back in the 70s or the 60s or whatever it is. The guy who's just going like, "Hey, what the hell did you get that tie from? Like the soup store? Like what are they like?"
Oh no, Rodney Dangerfield.
No, not
Like,
Rodney.
what is it? You got to buy a hat like that. It comes with a free bowl of soup.
Yeah, that's in Caddyshack. Hold on, no. Who did Jim Norton play in? I think they depicted him as a famous. Oh, Don Rickles.
It was Riggles.
Isn't it Jim Norton?
Yeah.
I thought it's such a little.
That sounds right.
It's a little thing they did in the movie that makes you go, "I'm so glad you did that."
Well, also, like, there was another 2 hours of movie that was shot that just never made it to
To the 3 hours?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. It was way longer.
Oh,
My friend Micah was the art department coordinator on The Irishman, and typically an art department coordinator is on a movie for 3 months, 4 months.
What do they do
maybe
exactly
5.
for the people who don't know?
So, an art department coordinator runs the department that the production designer runs, essentially. So the production designer,
design.
The director of photography manipulates the lighting and the look of the film. The designer manipulates the feel of the film. So like the texture, basically anything in this room that an actor doesn't touch. Is under the production designer. Like technically anything an actor touches is props and it becomes a different department, but it's still managed by the production designer.
Right.
So
okay.
so
it's not a prop.
So anything anything in this room that the camera sees that isn't lighting is production design. Or anything that the camera sees that isn't lighting is production design.
Right.
And it gets a little bit tricky to define it because now with like visual effects and everything, the worlds have become very intermingled, and a lot of design is done in post now. So that's actually become a huge thing with us.
Really?
And because I mean, if you're like, you oftentimes don't have the resources to be able to build the entire movie digitally before you're shooting it.
Yeah.
Like for example, I worked on a movie.
What's a good example of that? Yeah.
I was gonna say I worked on a movie called Ender's Game for 2 years. That was the last movie I worked on before I went in house at U.T.A. and we had a bunch of kids, and you're trying to tell these kids, okay, there's 200 aliens coming at you, like, look scared. And but what do the aliens look like? And all we had was like, we had previs, and we had previs is a thing called pre-visualization, where you make very rudimentary cartoons of so it's basically like rudimentary animation of like what something is supposed to look like. But the design team hadn't fully designed all of what they call the assets yet. So like the ships and the aliens and like all that stuff, like that hadn't been designed yet. So you're trying to tell a kid, and you only have the kids for like, you've got them for 10 weeks of shooting, and you only have them for 8 hours a day, because you have to, a typical actor you have for, your day is basically 12 hours and then it goes over. So like on a normal indie film shoot, like your average day is like 16 hours. Like they're long days. You work very long.
Right.
But when you're working with kids, the hours are reduced. So you have to be very careful with how much screen time that you give to that's me.
Wait, is the chair? Is it just because
grease my chair?
Is it just because it's moving like that? Is it? Are you doing this? Or are you just bouncing back and forth?
No, I'm just like fucking hanging out, talking to my buddy.
Oh, God damn.
I don't.
The last episode I did, my chair was squeaking. But you know what?
It's so different when you take the headphones off. I don't like it.
It's weird, isn't it?
I don't like it. I want to stay in this bubble.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of cool, right?
I like the bubble.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Wait, before we go off the rails, go back to your buddy Micah. He is the what again?
Oh, anyway, so my friend Micah, she is the art department coordinator.
Sorry, Micah.
So when you're a production designer, you come up with these like sort of big worldview ideas of like, this is what I want it to look like.
Right.
And then you give that idea to set designers and to art directors.
Okay.
And art directors and set designers, they both know different programs. So there's one program called Maya, another program called CAD, and there's tens of them. There's not hundreds, it's five maybe programs of stuff. It's really just Maya and CAD, and there's a couple of others. I'm probably fucking something up right now, but
it's like, do we have a plethora of choices?
And
No.
then each one of those individuals takes the general concept and fills out all the details. And then they put it into a program where you can give the blueprints to a carpentry team, and they can then go and build those sets and execute it. And then you as the designer, you go in and you oversee everything, and you say, no, more green here, like cut those corners off. You go and you give your like specific manipulation of. So you're basically like, you're manipulating your vision of a director's vision. So it's sort of like this
So
like
many
chain of decision making, and it comes down to to this department that ultimately it's a bunch of, like, if you walked into the art department on a lot of modern films, it's 15 people in front of giant monitors wearing headphones just like working for 50. Yeah, like you'd never even, like, it's not the whole sort of like physical model building thing, like that's becoming a thing of the past. Like some people will do it, and it really helps a lot, like, to be able to figure out, okay, where do we put the camera? Like if we need to do this big complicated shot, like being able to create a model in this day and age. Like when I'm pitching my designer clients to directors, I have a handful of designers that work that came up under some of like the classic production designers. Like for example, Don Burt is like one of these classic production designers.
Yeah.
Like he designed The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which is it's one of my favorite movies.
And you, just to clarify for everybody, you represent these people that are in these departments.
Correct.
For
Yeah.
TV and film.
I mean, not for example, like not exactly Don Burt, but like people that, like, a lot of the people that came up under him.
Yeah.
Are clients of mine now.
Right.
And because they learned like the analog way of building models and being able to actually create a model, that's not taught in film school now. Like that's not
Right. It's like obsolete almost.
Yeah. It's obsolete in terms of what film schools are teaching, but in terms of like talking to a director now about like this person has this analog skill in a world that's so digital and so like heavy into that area, it's attractive because it's a different way of approaching a situation. Whereas like you're not just looking at a monitor, you're looking at an actual thing.
It's tangible.
And I think that makes for stronger filmmaking. I think if you can have 15 people standing around a table, I mean, obviously in this COVID environment, you don't have 15 people standing anywhere. You've got like everything's being done over Zoom, but like we also don't have a ton in production right now. So I mean, the example's kind of, again, I think we're just sort of on a bit of a timeout right now, and things will resume in whether it's vaccine driven or the fall or end of summer. I mean, there's a
Right.
Or that's a whole other conversation. I'm sure we'll get into. But
Yeah, I do want to ask you about that because
idea, actually.
yeah, I know it's getting
jacket
warm.
thing,
It's
it's a
getting
little
toasty
hot.
in here. I don't have it in the
all
budget
the-
yet
it's all-
to get a noiseless air
It's
conditioner.
all the hot
thing.
air. I think.
Yeah, I hope you're not dying too much.
No, I'm dying just the right amount.
Just the right amount, or just slowly getting killed. No, that's I love the fact that like we can sit here and talk about like the tones of films, and there was a couple of things I wanted to mention that probably jolted the cameras actually. There was something I was gonna say, especially about.
I think I went right down the middle.
No, it's
I didn't
fine.
touch that
no, it's
cable.
Fine. Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll check on it later. We should be good. Actually, I could just double check on it now. Just to make sure. Because if it moved. Oh no, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, I didn't see anything move. But then again,
Well,
I wouldn't trust me.
yeah, well, I wouldn't trust all the stuff that I got going on now. I do want to say something real quick about, especially with the cinematography or whatever it is, and you can correct me on all this stuff, because you know, and again, just to like kind of clarify that you're an agent, a motion pictures agent for U.T.A.
Wow.
United Talent Agency, and you your main bag is what? Cinematographers, DPs, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean it's the production crews. So the department that I work in is an arm of what they call the lit department, and lit short for literature. So motion picture.
Like this shit is lit, fam.
It actually that's why they
That's
call it
why,
lit.
yeah,
because our
'cause
department is.
are you
so
walking
lit
in every
that
day
we-
and they're just like, yo, it's lit?
It is lit in here.
Yeah, it's lit.
It is lit as heck.
And then the fire
what they
marshal
say.
comes in and goes, "Hey, nothing better be lit in here.
6 feet apart.
6 feet apart.
6 feet apart.
Keep
Put
it
the-
all
put-
restrained.
keep the,
fire
yeah.
marshal Bill comes in. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, Fire Marshal Bill. Oh boy. Oh, what a fucking.
Woo, that's a throwback.
Oh man, he's so good.
So you can
so
work
what-
with
I mean,
a number of people.
Literally, what our department's main area is the premium high end cinematography. We represent Roger Deakins, who won the Academy Award for 1917 this year, and the year before
still haven't
for,
seen that
for
yet.
Blade Runner. Don't say that on an interview. With
I am
me.
so
can't-
sorry.
I can't be around.
Dude,
people
I
who
haven't seen it
that
yet.
shit.
I haven't gotten to it.
Let's stop.
We're gonna
this now.
stop
Yeah.
everything.
You go.
I
see
heard it's bananas
1917.
good.
It's.
I think you told me that too. I really want to check it out.
I think I'm now. If I manage another viewing, it'll be the fourth one, and like all
Really?
in theater. It is absolutely spectacular. That is.
I'm bummed. I'm gonna have to watch it on
and
my
I
TV.
love war movie. Like Saving Private
Oh,
Ryan is
yeah.
my favorite movie. Actually, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh, shit. Oh, my favorite movie. Hold on, wait. I got to say this too before I forget. But this is so cool. This is what happens with me and Matt, as well as it happens with a lot of other people that I know. This is what I love about it. This is why I want to do a podcast. My brother even said, he's like, well, you do like to talk a lot. So, and I go, you haven't met my friends in Los Angeles. They out-talk me. Anyway, I think it was because this is what fucked me up on my perception of California was the movie Lords of Dogtown.
The skateboard movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
The way that movie looks,
Yeah.
you just think that's California all the time. It has such a super, and I think they hired whoever they hired because they did another movie called 13.
That was the documentary, right?
No, it was an actual movie about some girl who's like 13 and she's like a lesbian and she's like getting tattoos and smoking cigarettes. But there's something about, I think it's almost like the handheld camera vibe in certain shots. There's like great cinematic shots, obviously with Lords of Dogtown when they're coming up the bowl.
But there's almost like a documentary feel.
A little
to
bit,
it, and
a
that's
little
what-
bit. I
Yeah,
think that's
and
what it-
They call
well,
that verite.
Verite.
They call that verite.
Really?
Yeah, that is the, if you're speaking to a director or a producer or like a filmmaker and you're talking about that, creating that kind of feeling.
Right.
Like, again, that tone.
That tone. That's the tone.
Verite.
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 Where does that come from? Do you know?
Documentaries.
Documentaries.
Verite actually, verite in French means reality, truth.
Really?
And it's a Latin derivative, veritas, which is a legal term from way back in the day. But
Yeah.
verite. I mean, it's like honestly Greek and Latin.
Is it one of those things because when you're seeing something that looks like a movie, it's set up as a shot, and you're like,
Well, there's- you
and then
say-
when they do the verite, it's kind of like, oh, I'm in it. I'm in it with them.
Yeah.
This is real. This feels more
like handheld,
Right.
visceral. That feeling that they call that's
Yeah.
verite. Whereas I mean, you can have cinematic that's also verite, and it gets into and that becomes a very subjective conversation where like I actually don't feel like there's an official definition.
It's
where
very broad. It's a very broad.
Like where does cinematic begin and verite end?
Yeah,
I actually don't know. And I literally talk about
all
this,
the walls are blurred.
I talk about this all day.
Yeah.
But what I if I'm talking to a director and I want to talk about like a specific cinematic look, I mean there are directors of photography, again, like DP, cinematographer, cameraman, like they're all sort of the same. Like they mean the same thing, but they're multiple terms that.
So with that being said, like I mean, because there's that aspect to it, but also the thing that messed me up in my view of California was the way that overall color and hue to the film is, the way it looks so rustic and California orange all the time. Like in every shot of this movie, the whole vibe of Lords of Dogtown.
But that's a tonal decision by the director.
I thought it was
so what happens is like
I thought that was perfect.
You test a bunch of lenses, you test a bunch of film stock, or now you would test like digital camera bodies, and you make your decisions, and you do it like it depends on the director, it depends on the director of photography, but typically like you're not referencing other films, you're referencing photographers, and you're referencing visual art, like Rembrandt lighting is a whole common thing. I mean, that's a painter from 300 years ago, and it's just in very intense light. I mean, not intense because it would have been candles at the time, but on one side, and you let things fall off to the darkness and the shadow, and that feeds into the narrative of the story. I mean, you see that in Jordan Peele's work a lot. You see that. I mean, there are a lot of you see that in Astor's work sometimes. Like this is very. Specific to, and again, this is when we go back to our conversation about tone. Yeah, the directors that know how to contextualize the decisions of, like, if you talk to the team that put Lords of Dogtown together, they would be able to tell you exactly what references they use for every single shot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, that's not just like, oh, we're gonna just go out and shoot California. It's like the amount of effort that goes into creating that look is like you'd see shot on crane, and you're like, but it's just somebody running down a street with a handheld
there's
camera.
more to
like,
it than that's the thing that was what messed me up, because then you move to California and you go, it doesn't look anything like Lords of Dogtown. Like it doesn't, because that cinematography or that cinematic thing tricks you into thinking it feels like this, it looks like this, but they did such a good job of selling it so well. And that's what, like, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Sure. I mean,
because real life doesn't look like
another
that.
Like opposite example, because like in our industry, there's always this LA, New York, conversation of like what is the the music scene in New York? What is the film scene in New York? And like a New York independent movie, for example, like Good Time, which is a Safdie Brothers movie, or like Uncut Gems, which is another Safdie Brothers movie that came out this year, which is a fantastic movie.
That was awesome.
But that creates a tone of New York that like you could never make that movie about any other city. Like that like it's almost like when filmmakers are able to almost like secrete the sweat of their city and like turn it into a tone. That's impressive for me. Like that nobody's ever done that for Toronto. You know who came close was Edgar Wright with Scott Pilgrim came close with Toronto, with trying to like create a tone for Toronto. It's really interesting too. He actually got like a lot of the sort of social nuances of Toronto, because the movie's set in Toronto, but it's not promoted as a Toronto-based movie. Like there's like even the one like there's a film, a very classic Canadian movie. I mean, again, like there are Canadian filmmakers like Denis Villeneuve, and he got like Incendie and Arrival, and like they're all the. I mean, but by that time he'd become such a global, universal storyteller that it didn't matter that he was Canadian. He's just good at what he does. Like he's not. You're not looking at him and being like, oh, I love this Canadian filmmaker. Right. You're watching his movies and being like, Denis Villeneuve is a fucking genius. Like Sicario. My goodness, that is...
What's that?
Sicario is... Actually, Roger Deakins shot it a couple years ago. Sicario is a Josh Brolin, Emily Blunt film from a couple years ago. Really? That is about a bunch of U.S. DEA and FBI and CIA agents that like go into Mexico on a mission to take out the head of a cartel. It's basically a bunch of people like very... like interpreting the law in their own way, and like just getting
from now on, you got to just start texting me, see this movie, because all the reason I saw the what was.
Do you remember The Raid?
Yes,
that we watched together. I thought that's what you were thinking of. Yes, yeah. Yeah, so Gareth Evans is
The Raid
crazy.
is The Departed, right?
The crazy. No. The Raid is the Indonesian movie when the people go into the building and it's
But
like
what
the SWAT
American
team.
movie did they rip
No,
off
crap.
The Raid? What American movie was the
No, the Raid's totally original.
Oh, it is?
The
Oh,
Raid's
never
totally
mind.
original.
Oh, never
Yeah.
mind. What am I thinking of with The Departed? The Departed comes
The
from...
Departed ripped off an Asian film called Infernal Affairs.
Internal
and
Affairs.
It's a Korean film
Yeah, okay,
from...
never mind. Yeah.
Oh man, you can watch
yeah.
you can and especially now because Hulu picked up Parasite. All of those
haven't seen that.
all of those old Bong Joon-ho movies are on Hulu now, so you can go and watch like Mother, which is I think like if you watch Mother, Bong Joon-ho is
that... What's Mother?
Mother is one of Bong Joon-ho's earlier films.
Oh, okay.
The guy that directed Parasite.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, it's a movie about a guy who accidentally kills a girl, and sorry, let me rephrase that because I just fucking gave away a whole bunch. But you're also meant to believe that throughout the movie. Oh, damn it, I fucked that up. Do we need to redo this, or should I whatever? Spoiler alert. Yeah, he totally did it. Should I fuck? Can we cut this? That was the worst. Oh, I suck.
Oh God, that'd be like me coming to you, Matt, going like, "Have you seen this movie yet?" And you go, "No," and I go, "Do you like surprise twist endings where all the main characters die?" Yes. Then you're gonna love.
You're
this
gonna
movie.
love The Departed. It's
If I can turn back time. If I
Do we
can
cut that, or
find-
do we just keep
that.
we
I'm
just keep
keeping
going?
it in.
All right.
That's too funny.
So okay,
Oh, that's so good. I can't believe.
So how do I go back to fix this? It's a
can't.
movie, the lengths that a mother will go to save her kid from doing some shit, but it's just
I might fix it.
It comes down to the tone of how this guy is able to. God, I can't believe I did that. I was really trying to
so
not
funny.
do spoiler alerts because I'm the worst. Well, also part of our jobs as agents is to be able to sell a whole project in 30 seconds to someone,
Right.
And that's
You're
a
used
whole.
to
It's
telling
a
that
whole
story.
thing, yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
It's not even that I'm used to. I
did
would
that-
have no business pitching Mother. The movie's already been made. It's just a genius movie.
I think I did that, dude. Honestly, I think I did that to a girlfriend with the movie The Departed. And in all fairness, by this point, this was 2 years ago, so she should have fucking saw it. And I think I remember.
That's the other thing too. Is if you
I
haven't
haven't seen it by this point.
if you haven't seen 1917, you should know the Germans lose.
We're done. I can't believe you just.
And it was an awkward thing too. They called a ceasefire and then but also Germany didn't start the war. Fucking Austria and Serbia started the war. World War I is so I had.
Hold on, wait.
No, sorry.
We're going way off. Hold on.
I don't know. You said just talk. You said talk for 2 hours.
I know, but I gotta harness you back in here. No, but I do remember saying something to a girlfriend a couple years ago where I went what did I say to her? I said something along the lines of, I was like, oh, you know how I literally did say that. I think it was exactly how I was like, okay, so you know how everybody dies at the end of The Departed? It's kind of like that, blah, 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 blah. And she stops me and goes, I haven't seen that movie.
That's on her.
And I was like, oh, shit, I felt bad. And then within that thought of going, I feel bad, I just ruined The Departed. And I go, it's 2017. How have you not fucking seen The Departed yet? That's on you, for sure. You need to see that
You know what
movie.
you are now?
What?
Departed.
Departed. You fucking departed. Are you a cop? You're not a cop, are you? You tell me you're a cop, right?
I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you, did I?
You didn't tell me you're a cop?
I've just graduated the academy.
You a fucking rat, too?
Actually, I've been growing my tail.
You know what? You want to ask me about my... You asked me earlier, an hour ago.
Would you like another glass of cranberry juice, Michael?
What do you want, your period or something? No, my favorite line in that movie, part of my favorite movies, because you asked me that a while ago, but we went off, which is okay.
Well, no, but you're just avoiding it because you don't have an answer ready.
Oh, no, I don't. No. But I do have one of my favorite lines in cinema history. He goes, do you have any idea what we do here in our department? Well, sir, I think I do have sort of a kind of... Whoa. Let's just stop it right there. Let's say you have no idea what we do here, okay? Zero. Zilch. None. Nada. Because if you had any idea what we did here, we would not be good at what we do. We would be cunts. You calling us cunts?
So good. So good.
He just cuts him off and he goes we would be this. I shouldn't have said that. I can't put that on. I'm going to have to redo that. I'm going to have to take that out.
A lot of editing.
I can't say that on YouTube.
O'Grady Scissorhands.
Yeah. He goes we would be but are you calling? Oh, I can't even do it. I'm gonna have to take that part out. There's no way I can do it unless I bleep it. I could probably bleep it. I can bleep it. I have a bleep button. Oh,
by the way, that bleep you sent me,
Yeah.
I could hear all the swear words.
Oh,
under the
that was a
bleep.
rough
Yeah.
edit. That's a rough edit without me taking it out.
I'm sure you'll say that to your mother too after you air this.
Yeah. No, when I sent you that, I didn't have time to completely take the audio file out.
I didn't say that. You said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah. No, I know.
I'm just the guest.
No. I'll bleep it all out.
Does Joe Rogan say that word?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. That's actually a really good question. I doubt it.
I would text him, but you're using my phone.
Yeah, we can't. I don't have the budget right now to get the cameras to where we can have the phones and everything. Everything is like on lockdown for the lockdown sessions. Oh, favorite movie. Hold on, I got to get to this. Favorite movie.
Just let it out. Land Before Time. Come on, just let it happen.
How could you not like that movie?
Just-
Hey, have you ever noticed why?
Do I look like I'm joking? You know when I'm joking. It's my serious face.
Yeah, you're joking. But yeah, do you know what the Triceratops name is in that movie?
I don't actually.
You know what her name is?
Hold on.
Think about it. What is the name of the Triceratops?
Ooh,
in
that's a good movie trivia question.
in the Land Before Time?
I don't know.
Wait. Think about it for 1 second.
Try corn. Try.
Are you fucking with me right now?
Try something. Try.
Are you messing with me?
Gosh darn it. Try corn.
No. Are you messing with me?
Yeah.
You know her name?
I really don't. I'm telling you, I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were being a dick about it.
No, I'm not being a dick. Why would I? I'm not being a dick. I'm like,
because I'm like going, what's the name of the Triceratops in the movie Land Before
It's Sarah, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. It should have been Tricord. Have you seen? There's this thing called.
There's a meme with that when you realize that Sarah is named Sarah because she's a Triceratops, and it's that guy in the crowd that's like, and he's like realizes it. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry. Wait, I gotta answer the question. What's my favorite movie?
Yeah, you do, but you're not like really aggressively pursuing.
I would say it's Backdoor
so.
Sluts 9. No, they didn't really get it 1, 2, and 3. They hit a stride in 4, 5, and 6, but it was really by 9. That's when I thought they hit their peak. No, can I say my favorite movies, or do I have to pick one?
No, you gotta pick one. So here's the situation. Okay,
Give me. Okay,
you have you're Thomas Hanks, right?
I'm Desert. Yeah,
you're Thomas Hanks.
Yeah,
and you've been
Tim
working.
Hanks.
You're Thomas Hanks.
Okay, fine.
And you've been working for Federal Express.
Uh-huh.
And you're stuck on an island, and you're opening all the packages.
Yeah.
And you find a solar panel, and you open another package, and you find a TV, a monitor, like a flat screen.
Yeah.
And you open up another one, and you find a DVD player. So now you got a DVD player and a solar panel on a flat screen, which means you can play unlimited DVDs on your desert island. Weird, right? Because you're like harnessing.
This is a long-winded way of saying.
I don't do things easily or quickly.
The long-winded
doesn't
saying.
work
What's
like
your
that.
desert island movie?
So, but then there's like a tiny little package like that, and it's like the perfect DVD size, and it's like hey Billy, happy graduation. Here's your favorite movie, and that's your one movie, and you can watch that one DVD as many times as you want because your TV is solar powered. It's not like you don't need.
Don't need electricity. I got.
You don't need
Yeah.
electricity.
We can totally. I can watch
How
it.
amazing is like.
Ooh, so long-winded way of asking me what's my desert island movie.
No, I just directly asked you what was your desert island movie. That was not long-winded.
That was
I'll give you long-winded.
That was like no, don't do it. I know your long winds. They're like ridiculous. Yeah, we'll be here. We don't have that kind of time. We don't have that kind of time. A desert island movie. If I have to pick one,
I mean, Castaway is a good desert island
that
movie.
is a good one. Yeah, but you're already on the island, so that would probably drive you crazy.
I mean,
It's
a
too
movie
close to
about
home.
it.
It's too close to home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, good Lord. I got to choose wisely. Oh, my good golly God. I don't even know. I mean, I know I got movies that I love, that I absolutely adore, and I love.
I've tried to move the conversation on like 3 times, but you're going back to it.
I want it because this is a hard one. This is a pickle. Because I know like your Desert Island albums, you get like 5. That's easy to do.
You get 1. You get a Discman with 1 CD in it.
All right, we're going to do both.
Movie
and album?
Unlimited
Movie
supply,
and album.
Unlimited supply of AA batteries.
Okay, movie and album?
That's wasteful, isn't it? It's a lot of mercury.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
good. Yeah. And Mercury's in retrograde. I don't know.
Oh, is it?
I don't fucking
Well, then the Discman would
I just
work
hate it when
anyway.
I say something to somebody and they go, you know why that is? It's because Mercury's in retrograde. And I'm like, or it could just be that it sucks. Anyway. Desert Island movie.
What is retrograde?
I don't know. It has something to do with bell bottoms and disco balls and afros because it's retro. I think that's where it comes from. I think that's the retro.
Because you're O'Grady.
Oh, G.
So you could be
Yeah.
retrogrady.
Retrogrady.
Like, I don't know
That's
if
cool, yeah.
when you're in a bad mood, are you retrogrady?
I think
Like
that,
when you're not
well,
working properly,
yeah,
like either the buzzing and
well,
the chair
I'm in a
noises
bad
and
mood all the
that,
time,
yeah.
and I'm not working properly all the time, so I'm retrogrady all the
Oh,
time.
if this is you in a bad mood,
Wretch.
I'm
gonna have a kid one day and name him Wretch. Retch or no, Retch.
It would have to be retro.
Retrogrady? No, it doesn't work. Never mind.
Retro
All right, let me start off with this. I have a couple of movies.
Retro O'Grady
Retro,
doesn't.
yeah, it doesn't work. It won't ever work. It won't ever work. Never
No,
mind.
hold on. What if it was Rhett? Like just sort of Rhett?
Yeah.
And the middle name was Robert, so it was like Rhett or like
Retrogrady. No, it still seems, yeah, maybe.
It's Forrest.
It's Forrest. It's too Forrest, yeah. All right, okay, Desert Island movie. It'd be easier just to list some of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, but that's not what the, that's not the question.
I
No.
got one movie.
I know mine. Saving Private Ryan. Best movie ever made.
It is.
There's Saving Private Ryan here, and then there's all other movies that start right
Yeah,
here.
but I'm on a desert island, so I want to feel good. But I don't know if I want to cry.
Oh, Saving Private Ryan makes you feel amazing.
If I love that movie. I've watched Saving Private Ryan probably more than 10 times, probably more than 20. I don't know. I've seen that movie so many times.
It's a lot of layers.
It's so fucking good. If I have to pick one, I might have to go with... I hate this. The pressure's on. All right, fuck it. I'm just going to say this. I can always change my answer later in life and, whatever, right? It's not like the gods are going to condemn me.
I mean, you're recording all that.
Yeah,
This is,
you're right.
this
This is
sort
forever.
Sort
I would have to probably say, gun to my head right now, That Thing You Do.
So good. Crack the shirt, the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
Yeah. I'd have to say That Thing You Do.
Steve Zahn is
Yeah.
a
I watched it recently with them
You guys
doing-
look good in gold. If I
Yeah.
told you that,
Did you hear? Yeah. I told you about this. We were talking about this when we were doing the COVID-19 nose swab. I watched it.
Oh yeah. So for anybody who's wondering what he's referring to, I'm like I don't drive often. I like ride my bike to the office and like do Lyft and like
it's a great way to stay in shape. I had granola bar and
I do love granola. I prefer, but that's a whole other conversation. And I for once had a car and was able to drive Michael to Cedar Sinai to get. And when I went to get my COVID test, I'm a COVID survivor. I tested positive for COVID. I had symptoms for.
Right.
Like I had a 5-week ordeal with COVID. Like I had muscle cramps. I couldn't taste anything for 2 weeks. I had weird psychological things. Like COVID sucks. COVID is awful. Like,
No, it's horrible.
It's the worst. And
Can I change my answer?
And I was over it. Are you going back to movies now?
Can I say? Maybe,
Why do you
maybe
only
maybe Forrest Gump, because it's so long and there's so much shit in it.
Dude, when you're ready to have an answer,
I can't do this.
Sub it in. Just do this. What's your favorite movie? And just go, and then you'll put yourself in later.
All right, ask
like
me the
saying,
question.
Like, what's your favorite movie?
I would have to say it's
Great answer.
right. That's why he's my favorite actor. Insert name. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, you're telling the story.
Oh yeah, insert name had a wicked performance, but I
why-
think that director's tone was a little questionable.
Right. Well, I think it was because he just got out of that bad situation.
With his mother.
No, not that one.
Oh.
The other situation with the, that thing.
The ketchup bottle.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was on a Thursday.
Yeah, they say catch up, but
Right. Yeah, but who's to blame?
can't run fast enough.
No, it can't. Little tomato. Yeah. Because he was seeing that tomato. That little chickie on the side. Here, keep
boy.
telling people about COVID real quick. Do you want a refill? I need to get some water.
Oh yeah, I'll take a little more water.
Yeah. Keep going.
So I'm now I'm now here. I'll hand you this so that so you can just fill the water. It's weird without Mike here, but I had the COVID. It was weird. I woke up to an email from I'm actually not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I woke up to an email that indicated that one of my somebody close to me had tested positive, had gone in for the test over the weekend, and I started feeling like I'd worked out, like some really weird sort of cramps in my back. And then Megan's my girlfriend, and I had to ask Megan. I was like, I think you should go home. Like I'm just not feeling like I gotta like crash. The next 2 weeks I had muscle cramps all over, like the legs and upper back and lower back and like arms and then I woke up one day and I couldn't taste anything, and I had like I couldn't smell, I couldn't taste. Then I noticed that there was some like not real breathing issues, but like I couldn't process a full breath. But I didn't have a temperature, and on the LA Department of Health thing, it was like, do you have a temperature of like 100 degrees or more? And my temperature was like 99.1 or like 98.7. It never crossed 100. So technically I wasn't like, I didn't have enough of a temperature to go in for a test. So I couldn't go and get one because I wouldn't. And finally, after like weeks of this, my colleague said, oh, thank you. My colleague said, just lie on the test and say that you have a temperature and just go and get the test. So I did, and I go and I get the test back and it's positive, and I'm like, oh wow, I have COVID. This is a whole thing. So I'm now in like, I don't know, week 3 of being like depressed and at home, and like now I haven't left my house in 3 weeks other than like to get the test. Like I was just getting stuff delivered to my house, and now I'm like, okay, I feel weird. But the psychological effect of not being able to taste anything, like, compounds all of your ability to, like, think and make decisions. So, like, when you normally, your phone rings, you pick it up, you're feeling good. You say, hey, great, a phone call. Love phone calls. They're the best. But I don't feel right. Like, I don't feel like myself. I'm like, how could I, in good conscience, talk to somebody when I am not even a complete human? Like, I'm less than a human right now, and it really, that's how I felt. Like, it was very weird. It was very like,
You got hit hard.
It's not like the flu. Everyone says, oh, is it like the flu? No, the flu, you know you have the flu. You got the runny nose, never had a runny nose. You got the cough, never really had a cough. You got the, you know, the whatever.
you didn't have a cough?
No,
wow.
never. Dude, it's not the flu. Anybody who's like COVID is the flu. It's not.
No, it's not. The
it's
flu is the flu.
It's muscle cramps. It's some kind of weird psychological torture, and you can't taste or smell anything. And then it's a whole interesting little tidbit. There was a study that was done in France, and this is on, I don't know, I'll post the link later if people like need to see this, because you're supposed to fact check stuff. But there was a study that came out that was like, smokers are actually less likely to develop serious COVID symptoms than non-smokers. And I think it's something to do with like, if if your lungs are used to being abused by something like smoke, you know, I don't know. Again, it was a very brief article.
You're gonna have to send this to me, because I always heard that smokers were more susceptible to COVID. That's what I heard.
So, okay. So smokers that have like asthma and underlying health conditions are more at risk.
Right.
But like young, healthy, so stupid and horrible, and I should probably not be saying this, but like, yeah, but like seriously, like there was a study in France. Well, France did something insane, like 60% of the population I don't know.
Yeah, same thing with Italy. Same thing with Italy.
Yeah, it's some insane number.
Like everybody smokes.
But then like those countries are getting hit so hard right now. So I mean, this is probably not the best example, but like, there was a study. My buddy sent it to me, and like he was making a joke, and he's like, smoke, because I'm like a social smoker, and like he sent it over, and like I'm not trying to correlate it and say like it would have been worse if I smoked less.
It's directional, by the way.
I'll tell you what else is directional: life.
Yeah. No, but when you start going this way, it stops.
Yeah, it's okay. It'll work itself out.
You mean I'll have to work it out?
I'm the artist. I'm the talent, man.
He's a little pissed because I didn't give him a green room with green M&Ms.
No, it was a green room with red M&Ms.
Right. I didn't give you the brown room with the dark M&Ms.
All I asked for was a pitch black room with candy I can't see.
Dude, I am not that big in life. I don't have a connection with M&M. I can't get them over here. Nobody returns my emails or anything. I have no connection.
I would have settled for just M. You didn't have to give me both.
If you just have one M&M, is it an M&M or is it an M?
Whoa. Tell me about The Departed again.
All right, The Departed is awesome. So, hey. All right, so you told them all about our COVID journey when they stuck that thing up my nose.
Oh, no, I didn't even get that far. I was making it all about me. You weren't here.
Yeah,
what am I supposed to do?
Right.
I was just talking about so finally, I'm like, wait, I'm over it. I've done, like, I did my 5 weeks at home without leaving. I did not leave my apartment for 5 weeks, which was quite nice actually, because I got to play piano, which is a new thing.
Yeah.
But like this thing happened where I read about this thing called convalescent plasma healing, where they take blood out of your body if you've tested positive and are done with symptoms, and they take your blood plasma out. I'm a O positive blood type, and they put your blood into people that are on ventilators that aren't creating antibodies. So it gives them a second chance. So it's essentially like you're giving a human life a second chance. And it was like the one thing I thought, okay, like I've just gone through weeks of this awfulness, and like I couldn't, like, even just to process a single email on my phone was like forcing myself for like 40 minutes to get through it. Of like, can you call
This is when you got sick
me?
with the...
I'm like, oh no, I don't want to deal with you. It sucks. It's demoralized. I don't know, it sucks. COVID sucks. COVID fucking sucks. There's no other way to say it. And so I finally get into this like I get involved with the Red Cross, and like I call the guy. They do a phone interview first, and they're like, ask all these crazy questions. They're like, have you paid someone for sex in the last like 6 months? Have you used any needle drugs? Have you done like this and this and that? And you're like, well, like, no, like, who does all these things? Like, and also, like, who would admit to half this shit anyway?
Right.
But no, I like,
But they need to know.
Thankfully, I had to, like, no, I'm like, I've been in my apartment crying for the last, like, 4-5 weeks. I'm good. Like, I've done nothing, and I've kind of just been, thankfully, I'm very busy with work, and I don't really get out much. So I'm good. I live at home and do my thing. Then like, great. So come in for a test, and then suddenly give you like, they're like, if you were lying about any of that, we're gonna find out about it, because like we're gonna give you this test anyway. Right. So I was like, why don't you just give the person the test anyway? So like they give you the hemoglobin test, and it's weird. There's this little piece of plastic, and it almost looks like an X-Acto knife. Mm-hmm. And when the guy takes it out, I'm like, fuck, are you gonna cut my skull? Like, what is the plan with that thing? And he's like, stick your arm out. So I put my arm out on the test. I think I still have I still have a scar. It was like 2 weeks ago when I got that's from the needle that they put in my arm to take the blood out.
I can kind of see it.
Right there.
Yeah.
And that's from when I made lasagna for 19 people.
Is that from a knife?
No, it's from the rack of the oven.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
At my cabin last summer. I figured out, the summer before. When was I dating Lyndall? Did you meet Lyndall, the Australian?
No, but stay on point.
Speaking of the point, so the guy and literally takes this little piece of plastic, and it's got like a needle that pokes out of it, and he takes this thing and he's just like, boop, and he pokes your arm, and it like the pressure of your blood like fills the blood into this little plastic thing, and now he's got basically like. You remember like the SD cards that go into like cameras? Yeah. So he's got like an SD card filled with my blood. Oh, good God. And he's like, okay, we're going to go do the hemoglobin test. And they don't cover this up or anything. And it's like I can see the thing.
Isn't that the basketball team that's never lost a game?
The hemoglobins?
Yeah. The Harlem hemoglobins?
Yeah, the harmless hemoglobins.
Sorry, go ahead.
And he leaves. And he leaves you in this tiny room with like just piles of doctor stuff and like needle things, and I'm just so uncomfortable. And they're just like, yeah, leave your bag outside. It's just gonna be 5 minutes. And I'm in there with like my iPad, and my book is in the other room, so I can't even read or anything. And I just like I'm there. Thankfully, I have my phone, so I can like I guess email or whatever. And it's like 20 minutes. The guy was like, that's not 5 minutes. 5 minutes is 5 minutes. Like 20 minutes is like, tell me it'll be 20 minutes. I'll bring stuff. I'll entertain myself.
Be prepared,
like, I'm gonna default to I'm gonna work. I'm gonna take a work call. So I make a work call, and of course, like 3 minutes into the call, the guy comes back in. I was like, well, you fucked up the whole timing thing. Like now I'm not going to end the call. Right. Like no, so just like bring me with you. I can multitask. And so I put the AirPod in, and I like got my phone in my back pocket. I grabbed my bag, and they put me down on the chair. They're like, yeah, you're good. You passed all the tests or whatever. So like we're going to put you on this thing. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt because it's like 95 degrees in LA. It was a very hot day. And it's like 1,000,000 degrees below zero in this room. Like they blast air. You ever see that movie Boiler Room?
No.
There's this moment in the movie. It's a movie about like fake telemarketers that like talk people into spending money on companies that don't exist. Oh, it's like Giovanni Ribisi and Vin Diesel. And
I love Giovanni Ribisi.
Oh, he's so good. He's so Saving Private Ryan, dude.
Yeah, he's the best.
And Vin Diesel. They're both in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Vin Diesel's the crazy. Yeah, and Giovanni's the medic. And oh god, just give me the morphine. Yeah. It's about the size of an acorn.
The worst part of that scene that he sells so well and does such a great job that makes me just like want to break down in tears is when he just goes, when he's trembling and he's sitting there and he's going, I want to go home. I want to go home. And you're just like, oh, it's not, there's so many lines that could have been said and written for that script that would have been like, oh, that's sad. He's dying. And he's like, I don't want to, you could say, I don't want to die. It's
tone, bro.
It's tone, bro. It's fucking tone.
It's tone.
But that line right there is chilling. I want to go home. I just want that. You imagine that feeling of, because you can picture the whole thing.
Yes.
In that one line.
Yes.
In that one line where he goes.
It says everything.
It says.
Because what does he talk about? What does he talk about?
He talks about his mom.
He talks about not being able to sleep and pretending to be asleep. And
I
he's
want
like,
to go home.
You can tell he's regretting not having those moments with his mom. Like, that's character. Every word matters in that movie too. Every single moment matters in that movie. Every word matters.
Barely in that movie. Giovanni Ribisi's like barely in that movie as well, right? Like he has like his monologue.
But he has that. But you have to think too. Every character is hardly in that movie.
Right. Well, except for Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks isn't like the whole fucking thing. But what I'm saying is, let me say this. They're all in the whole thing, basically, because the whole platoon or the whole troop. But Giovanni Ribisi is like... Am I saying his name?
Barry Pepper.
Yeah.
Barry Pepper.
You know how he got the role for Roger Maris in the movie 61? It was because of that movie. Because he looks... If you look up Roger Maris, the baseball player, they look exactly alike. It's freaky. It's freaky deaky. But
what happened to Barry Pepper?
I don't know. He did those two movies, and that's all I know about. He's in a couple of other things.
No. He was in that Coen Brothers Western.
By the way, I was going to bring up... Isn't Josh Brolin...
True Grit.
Oh, haven't seen... Wait, have I seen True Grit? Yeah. Oh, God.
With Josh Brolin and Abigail Breslin.
They do the thing. They do that thing in the movie you know I hate. In True Grit. That's what I
say the name of the movie?
Yeah, that boy out there, he's got True Grit. And I'm like, don't do that. Hate it. Hate it when they do that. Unless it's like the Ghostbusters or Titanic, you have to say it. I get it. But like, I don't like that.
Do they say Titanic in Titanic?
What the fuck else are they gonna call it?
No. But in the movie, does anybody actually say Titanic?
Yes, they call it. They say it like
when?
The whole movie.
When?
We're on the Titanic. It's the unsinkable. They have to say that.
I don't.
Yes. There's no way that they can't not say the name Titanic in Titanic. There's no way. There's no way. She is the unsinkable. We're on the U.S.
Yeah, but that's just they're referring to
Hold on.
it.
I gotta watch. No, hold on. Now you're making me doubt if they actually say the name. Do
they actually say the name Titanic?
They have to. It has to be like every other every like 15 words or something.
Well, it's not like, you're like, hey, are you in England yet? Sorry. #iceberg on Titanic.
Right.
Like, there's no communication, and you're not like what are you doing? You're not talking about the Titanic. You're talking about the. Oh, by the way, dude, crazy. This guy like found menus from or like somebody like kept menus, and like there's you can go online. You can like go online and like look up like
what their menu was,
what they were eating every day.
No way.
And there's actually one of the things that like nobody knows this particular recipe. Like it was some crazy British thing that only existed in like a certain area that like nobody.
Really?
Yeah, it's called like what's the M states? It's like Massachusetts. It's like Chicken Maryland or something.
Okay.
And it's like Chicken Maryland is on the menu, but there's no thing about, and nobody knows how it's prepared or like anything about it. So like there's literally like a recipe that was common in England that like died with the Titanic that like.
This is just recent. This came about.
No. This has been around for a while, but it was like somebody like there was an article that was on like Vice or something. I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago that I was reading, and it was like. You know, the rabbit hole of like what were the people eating in the Titanic? I don't know. Right. I cook. Like I worked in restaurants forever.
Right,
so like
right.
Cooking for me is like amazing. And when I hear about stuff like that, about like previous like I always wondered like what is a Roman dessert? What did Romans eat for dessert?
You wonder about that.
You know,
stuff?
They had no sugar in Rome.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had no sugar.
No
they had no tomatoes.
No tomatoes?
Yeah, tomatoes and potatoes came from South America.
Really?
Europe had no sugar, no tomatoes, and no potatoes until like the 1600s.
No shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Came
what
from
did they eat?
South America.
What did they eat?
They ate lamb. They ate a lot of grains. They ate what were the? Oh, there was a couple of.
What about Italy? Didn't Italy have tomatoes? A fucking pasta.
No. That's the thing. They didn't. Tomatoes came from South America. There were no tomatoes in Italy. The whole Roman Empire. No sugar. No tomatoes. They had honey. They had wine, they had honey, they had fruit, they had a lot of like.
And this isn't until the 1600s.
Like some seafood, but it was a lot of what was it? It was like pork. They ate little rodent things too. Like they ate like
rats?
like not rats, but like
Pheasants,
What are
prairie
they
dogs.
called?
I don't
There's
know.
a word for it. They're like little. No, they're like quails. They're like little things like that they made. But then no, the big thing was like game. They hunted game. They had
Okay,
deer
yeah,
and
gotcha.
boar. They had like that boar was a big one.
Yeah.
A lot of like sourdough and bread, like a ton of grains. They were super into
Right.
no corn either. No corn,
Oh,
no
okay.
corn, no tomatoes, no potatoes, no sugar. Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like, and there's like recipes for shit that exist now that were like inscribed and stuff in Rome, like, I don't know, 2,500 years ago.
No shit.
And there's just like all dude, they had fast food restaurants in Rome.
What time period? We're still in the same time
We're
period?
well, I mean, Rome, what, like 500 BC till 300 and something AD.
They had
and
the
then,
concept of what we know as fast
and then,
food.
well, like places they called it Thermopylae or something, like
Sure.
Thermopylae. I think it literally, because thermo means heat and then poly means like fat, so literally like hot fast food.
Right.
So there was literally like a thing in Rome where like they were just
They
sell,
knew how
like,
to do it.
stuff
Boom,
on
boom,
bread,
boom,
and you would
boom,
just go
boom.
in and throw in like it's
Wow.
wild when you get into the.
That's a one thing that fascinates me about human beings and like our societies and our cultures, and you seem to know like a lot about this or like stuff like that. Is like
I just like food history.
right, but it's weird that it's something like, because when they talk about fast food, I just watched a thing on Netflix actually about fast food.
Wait, what?
It was called History 101, and
I haven't seen that.
I think it's like brand new. It just came out like last night. I watched it like real quick. And then there's also, with the, the McDonald brothers and Ray Kroc, Jack and the
What
Whole
a story that is.
Yeah,
That's-
that guy's a dick. But the thing about it is that it's really interesting how they had that. You're saying this is like what, the 1600s or whatever it is, or like there's a certain.
No. This is 580 to 300 and something AD.
Oh,
And
they had a fast food thing.
Well, there's two periods of Rome. There's like classic Rome, which was like BC to like Nero, and then to when the Goths like sacked Rome, which was like 380 or whatever, and that dismantled the first Roman Empire. Then there was the Holy Roman Empire, which was the second one.
But what are you talking about with the fast food thing? What era is that?
Oh, the first one, the
500
like 500 BC to
or 500
500 BC to 300 and something AD.
AD. See, that's what I'm talking about. Is that's bananas
I think
that it's then, and then something like that didn't like. I mean, that's a long period of time. Actually, if you this is what I think about. Fast food. How long has fast food been around?
Well, that's the thing. 2,000 years.
Not really. Not like no. Our
Well, no,
fast
like
food.
it was there and then took a gap for like 1,000 years,
And then
was
it came
like-
back.
But also,
Isn't
there
that
were
weird?
like, yeah,
but
it really
wasn't.
is. It
But
truly
like, it's
is.
weird, like how we kind of fluctuate. Because in the fast food documentary, the biggest thing that they were talking about with technological
like there
advances,
was no fast food in the 1700s. In
no,
like,
they prepared their foods. They went out and gathered it. They cooked it at home. You had to eat things like, I remember even talking to my grandfather a long time ago. And you know how like when you're, kids and people think anybody's old. And my grandfather was, he was only in his he was in his early 60s when he passed away. He was pretty young. And I remember him talking about when they were kids and they would get the ice for the ice box.
it's crazy that was a thing.
And you're like, you're a person ago. It's like me, my mom, and then you. And when you were a kid, that's how you kept your ice box that wasn't plugged in, and somebody was the iceman who showed up to your house to give you ice for the week. And a block of ice would sit in there and keep all your food preserved and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And I'm just like, that's bananas. And then you learn something in like a history book from like, did you know that Romans in the, 500 AD actually had refrigeration systems? And you're like, how? How did they have this system perfected and figured out? And then it goes away. I'm exaggerating, by the way. They didn't. I'm exaggerating. Do you see
but
what
I think
isn't
there
that
was a
weird?
version
They
of
had
that,
shit
yeah.
figured out like hundreds.
I don't know that the Romans were like bringing ice from the north.
Oh
into
no!
Rome.
I'm
They
saying,
must have.
I don't
though.
know.
I've gotta-
I'm saying something as like a wild example. Like they had shit figured out that like all of a sudden goes away by like the 1200s, 1300s, 1400s, and then we become like primitive almost again. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a weird fucking thing.
Well, there was also like
And then here's the other thing about it too. With let's say our modern food, fast food preserve, save the food, technology, whatever like that. That's not even 100 years old now. Not even. Do you know what I mean? We're in 2020, so back in 1920, we didn't have any of this.
No, because Henry Heinz created in the 1880s ketchup, and that was
really?
Yeah, that was preserved. And
okay, never mind.
He was
I'm wrong.
He was
Sorry.
he was like a triple threat of a failed businessman.
Was he really?
And he was on like his last thing. And what happened was like meat, like people would buy meat that was like had spoiled and like. Because he didn't have and companies that were making food preserves were using like arsenic and all kinds of like horrible shit and putting like all this like nasty stuff just to keep like bottles of shit preserved, and they would use these like clay bottles and like dark glass bottles so you couldn't see what was going on like on the inside.
Right.
And he was like, no. I'm going to make this simple thing. It's going to be a tomato. There was a Chinese sauce called catsup, like. Remember Mr. Burns in The Simpsons? Like, ketchup. Like,
no.
Do you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns is like...
I'd have to watch it again.
He's like, buy ketchup, and he's like, ketchup.
No.
So catsup was like a Chinese condiment that was like a kind of fix-all, and like you would make it with celery, you'd make it with like fucking nuts and like all kinds of earthy
Our
stuff.
modern day sriracha, how
Like,
people put sriracha on everything.
I could live off sriracha, man.
Sriracha's
It's like
awesome.
that's my desert island hot sauce, man.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
right, yeah.
Frank's Red Hot.
Nah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, but it's too like
wings? I like the-
It's too chemically.
Oh,
Sure,
I love
for
the
wings, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
for
Frank's
me,
Red Hot for wings,
For
I
me,
love
that version of that hot sauce is Cristal from New Orleans.
Oh, okay. I don't even.
Crystal hot sauce, I think, was a more like digestible, table-friendly version.
I'm
of
sure
Frank's
if
Red
I
Hot.
had it, I'd be like, oh yeah, this blows this way out of the water.
They're actually not unsimilar. They're both like vinegar-based,
really?
like
Oh,
hot
okay,
sauces.
yeah.
Yeah.
How great is a hot sauce with buffalo sauce though? Like a buffalo wing, it's the greatest shit ever. Whether it's bone in or bone out, whatever.
Yeah, it fascinated me that y'all in America have all these wings on your buffaloes. Like in Canada, our buffaloes are just like they
They just got fur and feathers
yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
just fur. They're boring. They
Yeah.
don't have any wings.
Dude, buffaloes are huge, aren't they? They're big. Like you don't think they're as big as you think that. Picture a buffalo in your mind. It's like the size of this room. Or like the same. Have you ever seen
I feel like it's smaller than this.
a little
room.
bit smaller, but I'm exaggerating the point. It's kind of like a moose. The same thing with mooses. You ever see like footages of moose like walking on a road?
Oh, I got it better. I saw
And
a
it-
moose up close and personal. When
Did
I
you?
was, when
How
I
big
was,
was it?
When I was camping in
big was it?
in Labrador. Oh, dude, it could have fucking trampled me. The thing was like 9 times
It's
my
like
size.
it's
I-
like up.
Yeah.
They're like
I remember
the
I-
size
I
of an
had,
18-wheeler.
I had a Nokia. It was the first Nokia, like not the flip phone, but the slidey
slide one.
Nokia.
Yeah.
And it had like a 1.3.
Was it orange and red?
No, it was black.
Oh, it was the black
And
one.
it had a 1.3 megapixel camera, and that was like, wow, 1.3 megapixels. Oh my goodness, I can take the most epic photos ever. And
Yeah.
I went on a hiking trip. I went to college in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and like I went out there and I had a car, and I drove up with my 2 buddies, Nathan and Misha, and we packed we had a tent and my backpack and then Nate's backpack, and like we had enough food for like a couple days, and we did a 3-day hiking trip, Grossmorn, which is in Newfoundland, which is so you have to drive to Point of Basque, I want to say. Oh no, North Sydney. So North Sydney in Nova Scotia, and then take a ferry, and the ferry takes you to Newfoundland. And once you're in Newfoundland, that shit that's a whole different universe. It's like like it's basically Ireland. Like
It's a newfound land.
That's good. That's how I felt.
Ba-dum-bum.
And they don't ask you when you're on the boat. You're getting off the boat going to Newfoundland. They don't say like, you transporting meth or anything. They're like, you boys got any potatoes? We're like, what do you mean? Do we have potatoes? We're like, you boys got any potatoes? Like, yeah, actually, we do happen to have potatoes. Give me your potatoes, right? Let's go. Come on, potatoes. And we had to like go in the car and like get the potatoes out and give the potatoes to the guy. And they're like, you can't bring these things into Newfoundland. Didn't give a shit what else we had in the car, but they were
asked about potatoes.
They did not want our potatoes in Newfoundland.
What's the deal
at
with the
all.
potatoes?
I don't know. They wanted us to buy their potatoes. It's something to do with bacteria and like
okay.
it's
like the
agriculture.
potato
It's
the potato famine in Ireland.
Have you ever driven back from San Diego and you have to go through that like agricultural stop that like they like come up and they like will search your car if you have like a truck or whatever, and they're like, yeah, it's a whole thing.
That.
So like I didn't know about this until I ran an event for Comic-Con, And so I was driving back and forth from LA to. We were living together at the time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, remember? I don't
Yeah,
know.
we were roommates. We were
yeah,
roommates.
Yeah, we used to live together. I don't know.
I
if
had a
you-
makeshift room, not that
Oh,
far
yeah.
from here.
Yeah. That's not on me. I mean, it's under me. I'm on it. But like my fat ass is breaking your chair.
No, it's always like one or two things is happening. Like every time I shoot an episode or whatever, like the last episode I did, this chair was squeaking, and I was like, all right, I got the WD-40 and I did it. And I think I'm good on all fronts.
You get his chain lube.
But chain lube?
Yeah, bicycle chain lube.
Oh, whatever. I got
WD-40 wears off faster.
Okay, fine, whatever. I'll order some off of Amazon. But yeah, now this chair is making the noise. It never made the noise before until today. Yeah, so whatever. I don't think you have a fat ass. I think it's just the chair eventually
also,
needed.
Most people have a weird thing and they like sit like this.
At the edge of the seat?
Yeah.
I do when I'm playing guitar, but when I'm sitting, I like to kind of like get in like this or whatever like that. All right, so hold on. You're in Newfoundland. What was the point of all this?
No, they took the potatoes.
They took the potatoes.
Yeah.
That makes me think.
And then we
the
go
way
on
he
we go
said
on this like 3-day like hiking trip all through Newfoundland.
The moose.
And we were like no power, no anything. And we had just set up camp on this. Oh my God, I'll dig up the picture at some point and show you. But just imagine a giant beach, but like a pebbly kind of beach.
Right, yeah.
At the mouth.
It's like a brand new beach.
At the mouth of like a waterfall that's come down from this epic mountain.
Yeah.
And then there's this beautiful mountain all around, and they're literally like fog clouds like coming down over this mountain and like cascading into this nature. It was just epically beautiful.
Painting quite a picture. Love it.
And I decided to go rogue and go solo and go for a little, meditation solo walk. And I'm like, all right, you guys, I'll see you in a couple hours. I'm going to go for a little bit of a stroll. And there's this embankment, and it's like 10, 15 feet up. And I see a ruffling in the embankment, like up there. And I'm like, all right, that's wildlife. Like something's up there. And we're now on, I think, day 2 of like a 3-day hike, but a 3-day hike of like a 10-day road trip around. Right. So like we're on this trip, but like we parked the car and just like hiked into this shit. And like, oh my God, it was like amazing. Like just being out there in wilderness and like no responsibilities, no anything, like still 2 weeks before school started. Like I went out early with my friends. It was amazing. And we had planned this for a while too. And, I climb up the embankment, I get up, and I pull myself up over the top thing, and I am like face to face with literally like 15 feet of antlers and this fucking moose's face right in front of me. And I'm thinking like, all right, if this thing runs forward, that's it. I'm dead. Like there's
What?
this full.
How close is it?
Full grown moose.
How close?
Like maybe me to you.
What?
Yeah. Like I've never seen
Looking
anything.
at you?
Yeah, and the antlers, I'm not kidding, was from like that light to the wall. Like there's this giant fucking animal staring at me, and then just casually turns around and starts walking into the woods.
Oh my God.
And then it stopped, and I'm staring at this thing like having had like a near death kind of, because moose are known for like if you hit this thing in your car, like you die, and the moose walks away. Like these things are giant. Like every year there's someone driving a prom and like they it's actually kind of sad.
Like us killing a mosquito.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mosquito flies on our arm and we're like, what is that?
So
whatever.
So the fucking thing starts walking away, and I'm like, no,
How did you not shit
I have
yourself?
this 1.3 megapixel camera. I want to get a picture on my amazing new Nokia slidey phone with the 1.3 megapixel camera. So I hadn't turned the phone on in 2 days. Like it's full battery. I hadn't had because I have actually a really nice stills camera that I was using, but my camera was back at camp. I was just planning on going for a walk. I wasn't planning on fucking seeing a giant. It's like one time I don't have the camera, so I'm like, oh, but I have the phone. I have the stupid phone in my little emergency pouch with like my water and that's probably it. I don't know, like a pipe or something. And I get and it stops and it turns again, and I'm staring now like 30, 40 feet away from this thing, and it's staring at me, and I'm staring at it. And I'm like, oh, we're fucking doing this. And I pull the phone out, and I turn the power on, and the moose is like just starting to like maybe get like okay with me there, and it go dee 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 dee, and the noise, the fucking moose is just like no, and like and I'm like, oh my God, the Nokia phone is gonna be the death of me, and I thought the moose was gonna run at me, and it like ran into the woods, and I never saw it again. So I have one picture from like of the moose's butt like way off into the woods, so it looks like I was like like, I don't know, 200 feet away from a moose that was going in the other direction. But I swear to God, I had this like whole experience with a moose like right in front of me, and they're so big.
Yeah.
It was so big, and I mean, I've seen bears and shit at my cabin. Like, wildlife is not.
But
yeah.
I think it's because everybody always talks about our perception of mooses. We think they're the size of deer.
They're so big.
But they're not that
They're
small.
so big.
Do you know what I mean? Like mentally, as a collective group of people, like everybody kind of thinks there's. I think there's a. They call it the Nelson Mandela effect, where you think one thing, but the truth is something else. Where everybody thought like when he died, they were like, he's already been dead. He's been dead for like thousands of years or hundreds of years, and it's like no, he like just died. And it's like everybody collectively as a group, us, the United States, the continent, the whatever. And that's what I think it is with mooses, is that people think that they're not as big as they actually are. Like in my head, I go, a moose is the size of a deer. And you're like, no, it's not. It's like the size.
A deer is the size of a deer.
Right. A deer is the size of a deer. A moose is the size of like
the size of a moose.
It's like an 18. But we didn't grow up, I think, being them depicted as big as they are. Does that make sense?
Well, also, they're super common in Labrador and Newfoundland.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
And
Are they violent?
No, not at all.
They're not violent. They won't charge
they're
you?
vegetarians. They eat moose muck. They eat the
They won't fuck you up?
algae and shit.
No, but they won't fuck you up?
No, they don't attack humans.
They don't?
They just
Oh, okay.
stand on roads
Yeah.
right next to blind corners.
Ooh.
And like
your
take
car just
people the fuck out. No, they don't run like
No. A car would slam into him and die?
I don't think there's ever been a case of a human being dying because a moose attacked a
No.
person.
But I mean, you're saying if they're standing on the road and a car's flying down the road and slams into a moose, they're done. They're toast.
Done.
Yeah,
Done.
that happens all the time.
In cars.
That's what I'm saying.
Not in SUVs, not in
Oh.
like trucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you're in an
can-
SUV, you're fine.
you can make it.
Yeah, because the box is bigger. But if you're
Right.
driving like a Prius and you hit it's over.
No shit.
No, that shit's like.
I've heard of stories like that in Ohio because I'm from Ohio, in Amish country, and there was a story one time. Somebody was telling us this at a campfire. We were like little kids. We were like way too young to hear this story. I think it was in the Boy Scouts at the time or something. I don't remember where it was, but this dude was like, he knew somebody or whatever. It was like a relative of his who was driving through the hills of Ohio on his motorcycle, flying. Like just
that scares the pants off me.
whipping like the lightning and riding like the wind. And because it's Amish country, I'm not from the Amish country area, but like there is a lot of Amish stuff in Ohio,
Pennsylvania, sure,
Illinois,
yeah.
whatever. And I guess because it was so hilly, he came up to the top of a hill, and as he curved around the top of this hill, he hit the buggy of the Amish. But he like going like 100 miles an hour. He was exploded. He was done. They got fucked. I don't know what happened to them, but he told us this story. And I remember being a little kid. I was just like, what? Like, it didn't matter, wearing a helmet or whatever like that. If you're flying that fast, before you know it, you come up over the curve. Whoop, there's it. Boom, you're done. You're gone. See you later. I was like, wow. Oh, no, you know what it was? No, you know what it was? Because he told the story about because I think it was like more of like a caravan luggage thing or whatever like that, and it hit it, and then like they had to keep going because they got all the horses or whatever, and by the time they got back to their farm, that's when they looked, and there was like a blood trail of stuff like on the back of their, I'm sure they were like, what the hell was that bump? You know what I mean? Anyway, real quick, let me ask you this.
Did you feel a bump, Jedediah?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Oh, dude, greatest movie ever. Kingpin.
I disagree on almost all fronts. I wasn't a fan.
Are you fucking
Yeah, the
kidding?
one where the guy puts a hand in the thing and he loses his hand,
Kingpin,
he gets
Bill
the-
Murray.
Not didn't do it for me.
Oh my!
Not a fan of Kingpin. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Kingpin is
It's
the
like, yeah,
best.
I didn't like it.
It is so
I
funny.
might be due for a rewatch because I watched
Bill
it on a
Murray,
tiny TV
dude,
when I
Bill,
was. Yeah, but
that is one of my all-time favorite Bill Murray roles. Woody Harrelson. Are you kidding me? Bill Murray, Woody Harrelson. Are you kidding me? You don't like Kingpin?
I don't like Kingpin. Maybe I need to
Randy
rewatch
Quaid.
it,
Oh my God, Kingpin, dude, Kingpin is the best. It is so funny. I love that movie. I love that movie so much. I remember seeing that as a kid, and that made us laugh our asses off. I watched it like last year, and it still made me laugh my ass off. I thought it was I still think that Kingpin is so fucking funny. The best is, I think, is when he's coming out, and it's like they're playing Disco Inferno, and he's like trying to be cool, and he's got the pizza, and then he takes it from this guy. Anyway, whatever. You don't like it? Fuck you. Whatever. Let's do this real quick. Let's take a quick second. Take a quick break.
We're doing a commercial break?
We're going to do a commercial break.
Okay,
here
I'll
real quick.
do the Altoids commercial.
Yeah, we'll do the Altoids commercial. And then when we come back after these messages, I want to talk to you.
Are you close, but too close?
Yeah. Or are you far, but not far enough? Are you depressed? Do you not feel like going out? Do you...
Do you like to be tempted to crunch your candy?
Oh, I can't.
Try Altoids.
Yeah.
You ever not crunched an Altoid?
No, I do it all the time.
You gotta crunch.
I can't make it.
Like, you ever had Werther's?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time.
Do you crunch your Werther's?
I'm like, I get 30 seconds to a minute in, and I'm done. I crush the Altoid. I crush the Werther's.
Have you ever made it through an entire Werther?
No, never made it through the entire
Well, you're not Werther it then.
No, I'm not. Ooh, dad joke. Suckers, same thing. I can't do it. Hard candy, Jolly Rancher.
Can't eat a thing with a stick in it. It's just, I don't.
bite it off. I bite it right off. I like that feeling on my teeth. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, though, for the next part of this episode, I really want to, let's try to do our best to stay on point.
Good luck.
I know, it's going to be tough. But
That's
it's
your
fun,
job.
though. It's fine. No, whatever, I don't give a crap. But no. What I want to do is I definitely want to talk a lot about what's going on, any little kind of fun insights you can give as far as how Los Angeles has been affected by the COVID-19 situation and what's going on like with our entertainment business and all that stuff.
I will say, compared to many other places, Los Angeles is handling it extremely well as a city.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I mean, because I'm curious to find out of like what's changing, what's going on, and maybe like what we can kind of expect. But we'll get into that like when we come back and everything, because I know everybody's probably like wondering a lot of the same questions as far as like with their entertainment and how things have like rapidly changed as far as like everybody in the business, as far as actors, entertainers,
you have
writers.
900 and something thousand people out of
Right.
work and no clear messaging from any of the major
Right.
voices that are
Yeah.
supposed to have answers. Like
Right.
it's a little like I want to say frustrating, disconcerting that
Right.
like, you know, like for example, the Screen Actors Guild and the Directors Guild and the IATSE and the state of New York and the state of Los Angeles, where like a lot of these companies are based, like none of them have put out clear messaging of, you know, these are the 10 steps that a production needs to take
Right.
in order to go back into.
Yeah.
Nobody's insuring productions.
Yeah.
You have that issue.
Jeez.
Which means you can't bond an independent movie, and we were talking about that a little bit earlier. But like that,
Yeah.
that's so it's perpetuating these issues, and we're literally using guidelines from the Nordic countries. From like, you know, Finland has very clear guidelines. The city of Winnipeg has clear guidelines, and I'm having to adhere to those because I'm right now working with a filmmaker that we represent to help set his movie up in Winnipeg, and
Right.
Winnipeg will open up for film production on June 1st.
Oh, okay.
Canada and the U.S. got COVID not unsimilar in terms of timeline. Like North America
Right.
was kind of hit. So like, how is it?
No,
How is it that Winnipeg has? We're gonna take a break.
We're gonna take a break
Okay,
and we're
all
gonna
right,
get
all
into all
right,
that. Yeah.